The next case.
All parties in the matter of Andrews versus Zimmerman. Step forward, please.
Belly dancing instructor Hillary Andrews is suing her former roommate, yoga instructor Candy Zimmerman, for the return of her clothes and her shoes. Candy is countersuing for unpaid rent and a security deposit.
Miss Andrews, according to what I read, the defendant was a friend of yours. Came a time when you and your boyfriend were in some difficulty, and Miss Zimmerman offered you a place to stay. And then shortly after you moved in, she threw the boyfriend out. Is this the boyfriend? Mm-hmm. She threw the boyfriend out, and you left a couple of weeks after that. And it is your claim that she kept $2,000 worth of your property. Ms. Zimmerman says the only thing she has left of your property is some old shoes, and I assume that this is the visual aid today of the old shoes. And, I don't know, nothing else of any value.
A lamp.
A lamp. That's all she has of yours. She is counterclaiming. She says you owe her $2,500 for security deposit that you were supposed to put down on this room that you had, and also for rent when you were there. When did you move into her house?
On April 7th, 2004.
And how long did you stay?
Until May 5th, 2004.
And what property did you leave there?
Basically, it's a bunch of shoes, up to like 20 pairs of shoes.
Shoes are here.
Some of them are here. Some of them I don't see. There's another
shoes.
Hanging item like that would hold more.
What else?
The lamp, which was like a $40 lamp, a full-length mirror, a broom. Also, when I moved in, I was supposed to get a room. I did not get a room. I had to stay in the living room on my own futon because the room I was promised was filled with boxes to the ceiling. I also wanted to mention that she hung up these shooting targets after Jose was unwelcomed into the house surrounding the living room area where I was sleeping for the rest of the day.
Okay, so she's not happy. She wasn't happy with you. Miss Andrews, why do you think that after she was so nice to you that she all of a sudden turned on you?
I don't know, Your Honor.
Well, maybe I should ask her. Why did you turn on her?
Basically...
Not basically. Just tell me why you turned.
She's a spoiled brat. I heard the way she spoke to her welfare caseworker, the way she spoke to her insurance agent. She humiliates people on the phone when she doesn't get her way. She treated me badly, told me how to cook in my own house, completely defended the boyfriend, saying, oh, it's not his fault, he's mean, he's on cocaine. And, you know, it's unacceptable.
Now, as far as your counterclaim is concerned, I don't quite understand that, Miss Zimmerman, because you told me in your answer that you took Miss Andrews and her boyfriend in because they were going through hard times.
Yeah, she said...
Just a second.
Okay.
I don't care what she said. How was she supposed to give you $1,200 or $1,500 in a security deposit if she had hard times?
She said she couldn't afford it, but she could borrow money from her boyfriend and her father.
All right, so you know what security deposit is for?
For, like, if they trash your house, then you
But they didn't trash your house.
Yes, they did.
Oh, well, you didn't put anything about that in your answer about trashing the house.
They broke a window and supposedly cleaned the antique hood over my stove, etched scratches all over it.
Show me the bill where you paid to have those two things repaired.
I don't have a bill because I can't afford it.
So then.
Okay.
You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh. What else? So you don't get security deposit?
Yes, ma'am. She's saying that she never agreed to pay rent, and I have evidence here. The only rent she ever paid me, a $50 check.
Fine.
So this is my evidence, is the check that she paid.
Can I see that, please? Your evidence for what?
That she agreed to pay rent, and she just said she didn't agree to pay any rent.
Well, here we have it that you cashed on May the 5th.
No, ma'am, I didn't cash it.
Oh, you didn't cash it?
No, ma'am.
Utilities, phone, and rent.
Yes, ma'am.
I think you should cash it.
Yeah, oh, I'm gonna now.
Good. Good, because it's all the money you're going to get. Give her shoes, please, Bert, okay?
Sure, no problem.
And don't trip over each other when you walk out. That's all.
Thank
Thank you.
All right, you excused. You may step out.
I'm happy with her decision. I'll get my things back.
It wasn't fair, but that's okay. Such is life.
Within the first week, the targets were hung up.
Actually, Arch does that all the time. You can ask any of our friends. When he has a good shooting day, he hangs them up for everybody to see.
They had already been shot up, and they were hanging all around where I was sleeping, 2 of these and 3 of these.
Apparently, some people think that's weird.
I was extremely creeped out by it. She said Archie likes to go shooting and show off his practice.
That's quite frequent in our house, to hang up shooting targets after you had a good day shooting.
I now know they're haters, and I don't want any part of them.
I would have let her find a place to stay with some of the students at the gym like she was trying to do. Or live on the beach in a tent like she wanted to. Who knows?
Gifford is suing his daughter, retail salesperson Catherine Ward, for an unpaid loan to pay her DUI fines. Catherine says her father's lawsuit is retribution for taking away visitation of his grandchildren.
That's case number 176 on the calendar in the matter of Gifford versus Ward. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mr. Gifford, the defendant is your daughter.
Correct.
And it is your claim that you made a loan to her. The loan was to pay off certain fines that she had, criminal fines, driving while under the influence of alcohol.
Correct, yes.
And she hasn't paid you back.
No, she has not.
Your daughter says that you volunteered to pay these fines for her, that at the time you paid the fines, you knew she was unable to pay you back, and there was never any agreement to reimburse you for the money that you spent for the fines. And that the real reason that you are here is because of a complaint that she filed against you with Child Protective Services, which resulted in you no longer having visitation with her child.
Correct.
Who is this? My wife, ex-wife. We're together still.
This is your wife, your ex-wife?
Ex-wife, we're still together, Your Honor.
Still together?
Yes.
Just my own curiosity. Why are you still together if it's your ex-wife?
Oh, her father passed away, and then I was one of the pallbearers, and at that point in time, we...
sort of got back together again?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been married?
We were married for 7 years.
And how long have you been divorced?
A little over 2, and we've been back together now for another year.
Okay, good. Who is this?
This is my boyfriend, Henry.
Is Henry the father of your child?
No, he is not.
Before we get into this, tell me about your child. You have one child, a boy?
Yes.
How old is he?
7.
Who does he live with?
With his father.
How long has he lived with his father?
He's lived with his father since October.
His father had full custody?
It's joint custody.
He lives with his father?
Well, yeah, he has full custody of him. But
he has full custody of
yes.
him? Do you visit with him?
Yes.
Supervised or unsupervised?
Unsupervised.
When were you given unsupervised visitation?
The last court appearance in June.
Prior to June, you had supervised visits?
Correct.
And who supervised the visits?
My father was supervising the visits.
So that your son had visitation with his grandfather and you were permitted to see him at your father's house?
Yes.
Is your problem alcohol, drug addiction, a combination thereof, individual? What's the problem?
Yes, it was a combination of both.
And how long has your son been living full-time with his father?
Since October.
Prior to that, were you living together with his father?
No, we weren't together since I was pregnant. 7 years now, we haven't been together.
Prior to October, you had full custody of him?
Yes.
Was he ever in foster care?
No.
Was he ever removed from your home?
No.
Did your father ever have custody of him?
No.
Okay. All right, Mr. Gifford, tell me about this loan.
Okay, this loan was regarding a DUI that she had back in 2000. She had a passenger in the car. She was under the influence of narcotics and alcohol. She hit a tree. CHP was dispatched. She went to jail. She called me up, and I said, best thing for her to do is stay in jail. She'll be arraigned, because I feel that due punishment should be served. Then at that long period of time, she was still involved with methamphetamines. Children were in and out of homes. We were paying
Which children?
That's just...
Both Michael and Brittany.
I thought there was only one.
No.
Where is your daughter?
With me.
How old is Brittany?
4.
And she's always been with you?
I just got her back recently.
From where?
From her grandma, my ex-mother-in-law.
How long had she had custody?
She doesn't have custody.
9 months.
How long had she had custody?
She lived there since October, too.
Through CPS.
No, it was voluntarily.
Okay. So there were these fines dating back to 2002.
Correct.
Go ahead.
When she was going through detox and outreach program.
When was that?
That was in October. She was checked in. She was released to us in basically December because they did not offer the counseling or some of the amenities that were ordered by the court. So they released her to myself and Sherry. At that point in time, I got her through counseling through the state where I work. Got her set up so I would be able to take her to and from her toxicology test and provide what she needed through the courts, and also supervise visitations. That way, both the brother and sister were able to see each other at that point in time because they were separated, and she would be able to spend time with her children.
Okay. Now get to the loan.
She approached me in November. She goes, Dad, I have a DUI that I have never paid on since 2000. Could you help me get my driver's license back and get back on my feet? I said, I expect to be paid back. So I went ahead, I paid them off. When I finally came back home, I went ahead and drafted up the exact amount she owed stuck a payment plan together, and then she refused to pay me.
That's not
Now,
correct.
how much were the fines that you actually paid?
Total amount would be $2,469.
And what happened when you presented her with this loan agreement?
At that point in time, she said, I will pay you back $150. She went ahead and only paid $148 in cash.
When did she pay you the $148 in cash?
March of 2004.
And under what circumstances did she pay the $148 in March?
She came up to me and she says, Dad, I know I owe you the money. I want to pay you the $150. And then I counted out and I said, Katie, this is $148. She goes, I'll try to get the rest of the money to you later when I get paid again.
Okay.
That's
Go ahead, Ms.
correct.
Ward.
He made me make arrangement with the courts to start my DUI so I could start my classes. I told him I do not want him to come because I know he will try to attack me for something in the future. He said, no, I will take you there. We will get this settled so you can have a fresh start on your feet. We didn't speak the whole way there. We were in court. I was standing there talking to the judge, and he asked to stand up himself. The judge asked him who he was. He told him, he said, what is your reasons of being here? And he said, I'm here to pay off her fine. So the judge said, okay, gave us the receipt, went to the window,
Ms.
and we
Ward,
paid it.
you had fines, correct?
Yes, correct.
What did you intend to do with the fines?
I was going to have a payment plan
Good. With whom were you going to have a payment plan?
with the courts.
Over what period of time were you going to pay them?
I was going to pay it every month.
You were already late in paying the fines, right?
3 years.
Yes.
You were already late.
Yes.
So it was your intention to ask the judge to give you an opportunity, rather than sending you to jail, to start paying the fines off on a monthly basis.
Correct.
And what did you think was going to happen to you if, after not paying for 3 years, you made a plan with the judge and you said, don't put me in jail now. I'm going to pay you every month. And what do you think was going to happen if you didn't pay him?
I probably would have had a warrant for my arrest.
You would have gone back to jail.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You have Henry, and I assume you think Henry is going to be in your life for a while. And I'm suggesting to you, if you take a look over at Henry, in a very short period of time, you'll forget what he looks like.
And later today,
She hung up these shooting targets after Jose was unwelcomed into the house surrounding the living room area where I was sleeping.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kurt Gifford says his daughter, Catherine Ward, owes for an unpaid loan for DUI fines. Kirk says his daughter has problems with drugs and alcohol.
Miss Ward, what I'm asking you is, if you intended to pay off your fines, which were your fines, why didn't you pay your father?
Because he told me not to worry about it.
No, that's not what he's saying at all.
Of course that's not what he's saying. He's mad at me for all this other stuff.
You
that's
gave
going
him
on.
$148 in March of 2004.
Because he was kicking me out and he was mad at me over something, so I got a paycheck and he said, you owe me money. I said, here, take my paycheck.
Miss Ward, what I'm asking you is, why didn't you start giving him back the money immediately, just as you were planning to do to the court? It's your fine, not his.
I agree.
Good. There we
Because-
go. Now you're getting to be a grown-up. Now, why didn't you pay your father every month? Because he fronted the money.
Because he asked me to start with a clean start and get up on my feet. He told me to start doing everything right and stay straight.
Well, did you?
Yes, I have been.
Really?
Yes.
Where are you working?
I work at Home Depot.
And are you a full-time employee?
Yes, I am.
How long have you been a full-time employee?
Since March.
Good. And what does your boyfriend do?
He's a construction worker.
And do you live together?
Yes, we do.
So you have plenty of money to pay your fines?
Yes.
Your Honor,
Yes.
regarding my grandson and my court visitation, basically that's pending due to the fact that I temporarily removed myself, but I'm still a joiner to the case in order for he can seek psychiatric counseling, because there is some trauma due to the fact that what's gone on with Katie, and that's why she brought it up, saying that I was upset because I definitely
not
wanted
correct.
to make sure both my granddaughter and my grandson do get the psychiatric counseling they do need from
Well-
all the years of drug abuse.
That's
Well-
not correct. There's not over years of drug abuse.
Of course it was.
No, there hasn't.
Of course it was. Of course it was. What do you think? It was 2 weeks? I mean, we've been around for a long time.
I understand that, but
We've been around for a long time.
It's not like
2
I've
weeks,
been doing
it's not
it for
3
years.
weeks, it's not 4 weeks, it's not 6 months, it's not a year.
It was 6 months of a period.
Oh,
She was pregnant while she was in rehab, while she was still under the influence of methamphetamine.
listen, Miss
No,
Ward.
that's not correct.
Listen, Miss Ward, I'm glad that you seem to have gotten yourself back
Thank you.
on track. That's wonderful. And you have a job. You've had a job for a while. The boyfriend, you have children?
No.
Why did you have to think about that?
I have children, but they're not with me.
That's not what I asked you, sir. Over there. Your name?
My name's Henry. Henry Twilling.
Mr. Twilling, when I ask you if you have children, the answer is, I have children.
Yes.
How many children do you have?
I have 4.
Where do they live?
They live in South Dakota with their maternal relatives.
Where's their mother?
I haven't seen her for many years.
Why don't they live with you?
I'm just getting back on my feet.
From what?
Long period of drug use.
He has a parole officer. He was convicted and incarcerated in the penitentiary.
For?
For drugs.
And where did the two of you meet?
We met at a meeting.
Mr. Gibbard, you understand that the Supreme Court recently issued a ruling that I don't agree with, not surprisingly. And that ruling said that grandparents have no right to visit with their grandchildren.
You're right.
You're aware of that?
Yes, ma'am.
I think that that ruling was short-sighted because I think that sometimes you have to look on a case-by-case basis. And when you've had a grandparent that, and I don't know if that's true in your case, but when you have a grandparent who has been, let us say, a primary caretaker of children, it's unfair for a biological parent to say, well, I'm not going to let him see him anymore because I don't get along with him. Because very often you have parents like this whose primary thought is not the overall best interests of their children, because everything is a parent. Dogs have parents, cats have parents, fish have parents, ants have parents. Just because you're a parent doesn't necessarily mean you're a good parent or a caring parent. All I can tell you is this, Miss Ward. Do your 2 children have the same father?
No, they don't.
And this man isn't the father of either of your 2 children?
No.
And I assume that when you had a baby with your son's father, you intended for him to be in your life for a while. And I assume that when you had a child with your daughter's father, that you intended for him to be in your life for a while.
We would.
And now you have Henry. And I assume you think Henry is going to be in your life for a while. And I'm suggesting to you, if you take a look over at Henry, in a very short period of time, you'll forget what he looks like. Now, I'm telling you that you have a responsibility to see to it that your 2 children have whatever constants in their life as possible. And if one of those constants in their lives have been their grandfather, you're not supposed to allow immature judgments to impede that and to impair that if it's not in your children's best interest. Do I make myself clear? Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,321. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm still a joiner to the case to oversee that my grandchildren do get a fair shake in life.
There's always been strain.
I don't want them to be raised up in the same environment and have them in and out of jail.
He doesn't even have a relationship with his own mother, so.
I wish this on no one.
And now, homemaker Carrie Colmanero is suing her ex-husband, construction worker Michael Maddox, for having her falsely arrested for child abuse. Michael says Carrie spanked their 4-year-old son with a cutting board.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 91 on the calendar in the matter of Colmanero versus Maddox. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Mrs. Colmanero, you and the defendant used to be married.
Yes.
And you have children together. And it is your claim that your former husband made false claims that you had and continue to abuse the children that you have together. And as a result of one of those claims, you were arrested. You want to be compensated to the tune of $5,000. And Mr. Maddox says that you have a history of child abuse, excessive corporal punishment of the children. He believes that you are still using corporal punishment on the children. And he has every right, and not only the right, but the responsibility as their parent to notify protective services and or the police that his children are at risk. right?
Yeah, right.
Okay. How long were you married?
5 years.
How many children do you have?
2.
How old are they?
Hayden is 7 and Trevor is 5.
You have other children?
Yes, I do.
How old are they?
I have a 13-year-old.
Whose name is?
Is Cody, and a 9-year-old who is Jared.
Those children also live with you?
I do have my son, my 9-year-old lives with me.
Where is Cody?
Cody moved in with his father about 2-3 months ago.
Were any of those 2 children the subjects of child protective proceedings or complaints?
The accusations have been made for all 4 children.
By whom?
By Michael Maddox.
By anyone else?
By my husband. His ex-wife has also made claims.
Well, does your husband have children?
Yes, he does.
How many children does he have?
He has 3 children.
Were there allegations of corporal punishment made by his former wife with regard to his 3 children?
Yes, there has been.
And what were the nature of the complaints that were made by his former wife?
Molestation, different things of that nature.
I'm talking about excessive corporal punishment or corporal punishment. You know what that means?
Okay.
Corporal punishment?
No,
that means hitting excessively or using an instrument to hit.
For Cody, Jared, Hayden, and Trevor, there has been accusations made on all of the children.
To excessive corporal punishment?
Yes.
By Mr. Maddox?
Yes.
And by your husband's former wife?
Yes.
Okay, now we're getting there. When was the allegation made with regard to Trevor and Hayden that caused you to become arrested? Tell me about that incident.
That happened on February 12th.
Okay.
And the children had went to go visit their father that weekend, and later on that night, I had been arrested for abusing my son, my 4-year-old. At the time, he was 4.
Okay, Mr. Maddox, the children were with you for a scheduled weekend visitation?
Yes, they was.
And tell me what happened.
What happened was she used to drop the children off at my sister's house. So when she dropped them off, I come over and I proceeded to pick my children up. I took my sons to my house and I started to change their clothes. I noticed the bruises. Right then I called.
Noticed the bruises where?
On the buttocks. There was 3 places on the buttocks that they had bruises. This has happened.
What did the bruises look like?
They were small bruises, about a 1/4 inch wide, probably maybe 1 inch or so long, around their butt. So
on both children?
Just one.
Which child?
The youngest one, Trevor.
Did you ask Trevor and or Hayden how that happened?
Yes, I did. They told me their mom spanked them with a paddle.
So who did you call?
I called the police department.
You indicate, Mr. Maddox, that your judgment of divorce, you indicate in your answer, that your judgment of divorce has an unusual paragraph in it with regard to corporal punishment. Do you have that with you?
I sure do.
I'd like to see it, please.
This wasn't the first time that this has happened.
No, let me see it, and then I'll ask you questions. Okay? Well, there is a paragraph in your judgment of divorce that provides that neither party shall allow the use of corporal punishment upon the children. Was that a negotiated term of the separation agreement?
Well, what happened is I had to remodify it because it started happening before this case, and so I had it put in.
Had there been a history of that before, Mr. Maddox?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
What kind of a history, sir?
One time, right when she started dating Rick, she was living in a different county, and I picked him up, and he had bruises up and down his rear end.
Who?
Trevor had bruises that she was living with him at the time. And so I took him to the county that I was in, the police department. They took pictures. Well, they proceeded to try to find her, but she had came back into Stanislaus County, a different county, and they couldn't go over into that county. So I proceeded to have that, the CPS from the Merced County was checking it out, and so when she moved back into Stanislaus, the case kind of got dropped.
After you called the police, what happened on the 12th of February of 2003?
The officer took the report. He called another officer out, a female officer that takes the pictures, and she proceeded to take pictures. Then he told me that...
Don't tell me what he told you.
Oh.
Just tell me, did either of the officers that respond speak to either Trevor or Hayden?
They did. They spoke to both the children.
And subsequent to that, they came to your home and arrested you?
That's correct.
Is that right?
That is correct.
When they arrested you, did they take anything from the house?
Yes, they did.
What did they take?
They asked me if I had a paddle, and I said I had a cutting board, which was confiscated. That is what I brought here today. It's my cutting board. You can see that I do use it as a cutting board.
Okay.
It hung in my kitchen. It's in my kitchen today. I did get it back because all allegations were dropped.
When?
That was dropped on March 27th. I have that court.
I'd like to see the court papers, please.
And the DA's information is on the back, which was also
I'd like to read
dropped.
it.
It's on the back there.
Is this the only write-up? Does anybody have a police report, please?
I have a police report.
I'd like to see the police report. All this says is that the case was dismissed on the DA's motion for insufficient evidence.
Your Honor, I asked.
Okay. Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This has been dropped. This was stated after the fact.
What after the fact? What are you talking about? You have to be told not to hit children with instruments?
And later today.
He didn't pay.
No.
And he did go to the wedding.
Yes. He walked her down the aisle, did everything the father does, except for pay.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carrie Colmenero says her ex-husband, Michael Maddox, had her falsely arrested for child abuse. Michael says Carrie spanked their 4-year-old son so hard, it left marks.
Is it true that you hit your children with a wooden paddle?
No, it is not true.
Then you're telling me that the police officer who filed this report is a liar. Is that what you're telling me? Did you know the police officer who responded to the scene on the 12th to arrest you? Had you ever seen him before?
I never previously seen him.
So there would be no reason for him to hold or harbor a grudge against you in any way. Is that right?
No.
Is that right? Is that right?
That is correct.
And there would be no reason for you to believe that he would hold or harbor a grudge against your husband in any way?
No.
Is that correct? So you believe that when he filed a police report, he filed a police report that accurately reflected both what he observed and what was said by both you and your husband. That would be a fair statement, would it not?
Yes.
Good. So I'm going to read to you from the police report.
Okay.
Okay? Let's start out with something simple. He responded on the 12th of February, 2003, to the defendant's home. I will paraphrase that part of his report because it is not really germane to what I'm going to tell you. When he got to the defendant's home as a result of the defendant's telephone call, he examined your sons, and he found bruises and marks on Trevor. He then asked both boys, little boys, how that happened, and both boys said to the police officer that Mommy spanked me, and that's all they would say. They said nothing else. There were no marks viewed on Hayden, only on Trevor. But based upon those marks and the statement, they came to your residence. Now, fast forward. Police officer, I asked Carrie, that's your name, isn't it?
Yes.
If she had spanked either of her boys earlier that day. She advised that she had, with a wooden paddle, which was still located in the kitchen. At that point, I placed Carrie into custody for violating Penal Code Section 273, cruelty to a child. I then escorted Carrie out of the residence and secured her in the rear of the vehicle. As I was furthering my investigation, Deputy Jeff and stayed with Carrie as I went back into the residence to interview Colmenero. That's you. I asked if he knew the whereabouts of the wooden paddle. He advised that it was in the kitchen. I followed Colmenero into the kitchen and watched as he retrieved an approximately 12-inch by 13-inch brown wooden paddle from the counter. I asked Colmenero what the paddle was used for. He advised that Carrie uses it to discipline both boys when they get out of line. At approximately 3:30, both boys, he said, were getting out of control and tearing up the house. So he's very specific. He watched as Carrie yelled at both boys and grabbed the wooden paddle and then proceeded to spank the victim approximately 2 times and Hayden 2 times for disobeying her. At that point, he didn't see any other physical injuries on either of the children. He also advised, that's him, that the last time Carrie had spanked the boys was 2 days before, on the 10th, at 7 p.m. for the same circumstances. Then the police officer interviewed your 2 older sons, who confirmed all of that. Both boys, your 2 older sons, say that that's your modus operandi. When they get out of line, you take a wooden paddle and you hit them. So my question to you is, first, stand up here. What are you complaining about? What's your lawsuit about?
My lawsuit is due to being arrested, and this has been dropped.
So, it can be dropped. You did it.
There was nothing stated in our court custody that this was stated after the fact.
What after the fact? What are you talking about? What's after the fact? That you should not hit children with instruments? Is that what you're telling me?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carrie Colmenero says her ex-husband, Michael Maddox, had her falsely arrested for child abuse. Michael says Carrie spanked their 4-year-old son so hard, it left marks.
You have to be told not to hit children with instruments?
I am saying that this incident is not... I have the DA's information here, and they have overlooked the children. If you would take a look at this also.
Listen to me, madam. Your husband said that you hit the children with a paddle, correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And you say that that's her standard operating procedure for dealing with the children, correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And that the children had marks as a result of that, at least one of the children, correct?
Correct.
You weren't falsely arrested. The case was ironically, erroneously, stupidly dismissed. For what reason, I don't know. Maybe you had a DA who's got his head up his behind. We do not hit children with instruments. You got it? Goodbye. The case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, I think the judge knew what she was talking about. And, I was just hoping that the district attorney in my area would go ahead and pick it up.
I am not a cruel mother, nor have I ever been, and Michael Maddox is very aware of that.
I just think that they can see right through it with all my documentation that, you know, she was just after money from me.
I only pray that he stops doing this, lets my husband and I go on and live our lives and parent our children.
They just, you know, quit doing that to my kids. We won't have a problem.
Obviously, if we were mean, they'd be dead by now, or at least, you know, out of our hands. And that's not the truth.
I would like to get custody of the kids, you know, so they live with me and in a stable home.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lewis versus Robbins. Step forward, please.
Homemaker Debbie Lewis is suing her ex-husband, assembly line worker James Robbins, for half the cost of their daughter's wedding. Debbie says he reneged on his promise to pay.
Ms. Lewis, the defendant is your former husband, and according to the complaint that I read, he agreed to pay for half of your daughter's wedding. Which one of these 2 lovelies is getting married? What's your name?
Angie.
How old are you, Angie?
23.
When are you getting married?
I already got married. I got married in September.
And he agreed to pay for half the wedding, and it was a very reasonably priced wedding. Half the cost of the wedding was $865. And he didn't pay.
No.
And you want him to pay.
Yes.
And he did go to the wedding.
Yes. He walked her down the aisle, did everything the father does.
Okay.
Except for pay.
Okay. Now, Mr. Robbins does not deny the fact that he agreed to pay for half the wedding. Correct, sir?
Correct.
And he does not deny the fact that he went to the wedding. Correct?
Correct.
And who else went with you to the wedding?
My wife, Robin.
So, Mr. Robbins, the ball is in your court, sir. Why didn't you pay for half your daughter's wedding as you promised?
Well, because ever since I've left her in '90, she's been putting her hands in my pockets trying to get money out of me for everything. And the divorce decree that we have does say that she gets to use the kids for taxes reasons. But the state of Utah took custody from her because of verbal and physical abuse. And I got a paper here that says that the divorce decree follows the child. And it cost me $1,600 because she did claim my daughter on taxes where I have the right to. And I also have a letter from her that's showing that the custodial parent gets to claim them on taxes. And if that's the case, I didn't get to claim them for 13 years that we've been divorced.
If you believe that in a certain year, I assume last year, that you had the right to claim a child as a deduction, she claims the child. You claim the child, and the IRS is going to come and look at both of your tax returns and say they will make a decision as to who is going to claim the child as a deduction. The other one will have a penalty. But you don't do a set-off. You promise to pay for half the wedding. Why didn't you pay her between September and April?
I told her that I would pay her when I could, which would...
No, that's not right. What do you mean when you could? How many children do you have?
Well, I have 4 with my wife now.
We have 3 children.
Just a second. You have 4 children now, and how many children do you have that got married last year?
Just 1.
And you said you would pay for half the wedding.
Yes, I did.
Pay for it. It's the right thing to do. And stop making excuses, and stop telling me what happened in 1990, that she's had her hand in your pocket. You
well, it just all added up. I mean, everything's added up to the...
Mr. Robbins, you have altogether 7 children?
Well, I've got 4 stepchildren, 3.
Then I'm not talking about your stepchildren. They are not your responsibility.
Well, I married them, so I feel they are.
Well, I'm telling you, by law, they are not your responsibility unless your family is on welfare, are they?
No.
Well, if your family's not on welfare, then those children are not your financial responsibility. They are the financial responsibility of their mother and their father, not you. You have primary responsibility for only 3 biological children. 3. And your first biological child was getting married. She was having a very small wedding. $865 represents your half. And if you didn't have the money to pay the $865, you should have gotten another job. If I make myself clear, sir?
Yes.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $865. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. They step out.
I'm just glad that the judge knew that both parents should pay for the wedding.
I feel bad that I didn't pay it, but I get so sick and tired of her digging in my pockets. Even her daughters called her a gold digger once.
25 years of children issues. He owes me for braces I paid for on the girls' teeth.
I talked to my daughter about the reason why I didn't pay it, and she understood it.
She made a beautiful bride, and we have another daughter that will probably someday get married, and hopefully he's there to pay for that one, and we don't have to do this again.
His assistant, Michelle Ayanna Johnson, is suing music producers Terrence Ireland and Jason Pittman for the return of her music and sexual harassment. Terrence and Jason claim the music is theirs to keep.
That's case number 198 on the calendar in the matter of Johnson versus Ireland Pittman. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Which one is Ireland? Good, so I know where we are. Ms. Johnson, it is your claim that you paid the defendants to produce a music demo for you.
That is correct.
And you paid them, and they didn't deliver what was promised.
That is
I don't
correct.
quite understand all of the technical stuff that you put in here. But Mr. Ireland and Mr. Pittman say that you never fully paid, that you don't get some sort of a master tape. This is going to get very complicated. And since you didn't fully pay them, you got everything that you're entitled to. Is that close enough?
That's very close.
So, how did you find them, and what was this contract that you entered into?
I worked with Terrence Ireland at a group home as a teacher's assistant, and he listened to my demo that
So
said...
you had a demo?
Yes, I had a demo with another producer. And Terrence let me know that he also was a producer and that I should let him listen to my music. He then listened to it and said that he would like to work with me. He invited me down to his studio to meet his cousin Jason in hopes that we would be able to work together.
Go ahead.
As of right now, I am the copyright owner and the author of the lyrics and the melody to the 5 songs that I created with the defendants from November 2003 up until May of 2004. Now, there is no written contract, only a verbal agreement which states a work-for-hire situation in which I pay a flat fee of $500 per song to the defendants and also have the use of their studio and their musical backings. They have no claim to copyright, they have no claim to royalties, and they have no claim to my master. Now,
How do I know that?
Say again?
How do I know that?
Because I created the songs. I also have the copyright material.
Why don't you have a contract?
He told me that I did not need a contract, that all I would need to do is give him $250 up front and $250 in the end for the songs
Doesn't sound
created.
very professional to me, Miss Johnson.
No, which is why I'm no longer wanting their services. That is correct. They raised the price of the 6th song, which I started creating. This here is a musical director of the Grammys and of the Turtles. He also listened to my demo and told me also that it is an unfinished project. And in order for me to finish my project with another producer, they would need my digital formatted copy or master of my music in order to help me. If you'd like to...
Are you following all of this?
Sure.
Why don't you explain it to me?
Okay. She paid them to produce her stuff. They have her master.
Right.
This guy here is telling her that she needs the digital master in order for another producer to help finish out her demo.
How much did you pay them altogether?
I paid them $2,500 for the 5 songs.
You have proof that you paid them $2,500?
I have proof for the 3 songs that I created. They're holding the other 2 receipts.
What'd you pay them in cash?
Yes, that is correct.
How much did she pay you?
She paid us all together. Let's see here. 500, 1,000, 1,500. Let's see. 16, 17, 17, 18, 19. $1,900, Your Honor. Sorry, I didn't have it all added up, but I do have all the receipts.
It says you pay him $1,900.
That is incorrect.
Show me proof that you paid him $25.
I don't have proof. They're keeping the other 2 receipts.
Well, how am I supposed to tell? He says you gave him $1,900.
Well, I have a disc of the 5 songs that I created with all 5 songs on them. They would not hand these songs over to me unless I had paid for the songs in which I created.
Well, what is it that you want from them? A master?
I want the master, the digital file that they hold in their possession, and also funds to finish my project. My project is not mixed nor mastered.
So you want them to give you what they got so far, plus give you more money?
Plus give me the money in order to finish. I also
She's not going to do that. I got to do that.
I have to finish.
Well,
right now,
finish it.
Right now, the project is incomplete. On
Then
May
find
24th,
somebody to complete it.
Well, on May 24th, Jason sexually harassed me and told me that he works for music and that he could get me a deal if only I slept with him.
That was
I
a very
refused.
nasty thing for him to say. If you said that, that was a very nasty thing for you to say. Let's move on.
I have the 5 songs in which I created. They're withholding the other 2 receipts from me for sexual favors.
Now I don't get it.
What?
Now I don't get it.
I didn't get it either. Still don't get it. I want to get beyond this sexual harassment business that you tacked on to this. You want your master.
I want my master, and I want the funds that I need in order to finish the project.
They're not going to pay you that, Miss Johnson.
Well, that's why I'm here.
Good. Well, that's
They
not
said
going.
they gave
Listen
me a
to me.
deal.
That's not going to happen. Okay, Mr. Pittman, listen to me very carefully, sir. These are her songs, correct?
No.
They're not her lyrics?
No.
They're not her music?
No.
Whose are they?
Ours.
You're telling me that you wrote the music?
Exactly.
Really?
Right.
Who wrote the lyrics?
I did, and Terry did. She actually went out and copywrote the music.
Behind our back.
Behind our backs.
Without our consent.
You don't know anything about that, right, sir?
No.
Because she says she wrote the music. They say they wrote the music.
She wrote the lyric and the melody for the songs.
How do you know?
She told me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Listen, when somebody wants to copyright an idea, they don't copyright the idea after they've already let it out of the bag.
Well, I'm the only one that has the copywritten information.
And I'm telling you that that was a bit of slick maneuvering.
And later today,
You jealous type?
No, but
A little bit?
sure, isn't everybody?
I don't know. Depends upon if you've got something to be jealous about.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michelle Ayanna Johnson claims music producers Terrence Ireland and Jason Pittman owe for the return of her music and for sexual harassment.
Now, you don't know who wrote the music. She says she wrote the music. They say they wrote the music.
May I say something, please, about that?
Sure.
There's two elements to a song. The lyric and the melody is the copyrightable item.
Yes.
You cannot copyright an arrangement.
No, I understand that.
Okay, so
That I understand.
She claims to me
that
and I
she
believe
wrote.
her,
That,
the lyric
I don't
and
care
the
what you
melody.
believe. What you believe
Okay.
is irrelevant to
Okay.
me. She said to you, I wrote the lyrics and the melody.
Yes.
He says that he wrote the
Lyric
lyrics.
and melody. Okay.
I want to see the sheet music when it was written. Let me see. Don't you have that? Somebody have that?
I have the copy written with the Library of Congress that I submitted.
When?
On March of this year, 2004.
Well, when did you record it?
I recorded it from November of 2003.
Well, then what difference does it make if you sent to the Library of Congress something after you made the recordings?
Because I was determined that I was finished working with him.
Listen to me. If you write something, and if you know, Ms. Johnson, that what you can do in order to solidify your position as the author of a piece of music, that you copyright it and you sent it to the Library of Congress, why didn't you send it before you recorded it?
Because when the defendants had the beats, I then wrote the music to the beats, so I didn't have the words when I came to the studio.
Just a second. When you say that they wrote the beats is a melody.
No, the guitar and the instruments. I wrote the way the song was supposed to be arranged.
Nobody is ever going to be able to tell what happened here because the three of you, semi-professionals, don't have a contract. And I'm not going to be able to tell who came in with the music and who didn't. You copyrighted something, but you copywrote it after you recorded it. So if you write the words to music and you want to copyright the words that you wrote to music, you copyright them by sending them into the Library of Congress. You did it after you recorded them.
Well, I was still recording. This shows in March. This date here shows the March
Listen to me, you said you
2004.
started in November.
I started with them in November.
Right, you started with them in November.
Right.
Ms. Johnson.
And it took about a month and a half
Johnson,
to finish a song.
I cannot tell who wrote this music.
Well, I'm the only one that has the copywritten information.
And I'm telling you that that was a bit of slick maneuvering because you already had recorded them. You already in March decided not to work with them anymore. So you said, betcha they didn't copyright it. So you sent in your copyright to the Library of Congress. And I'm telling you, if you were operating in good faith, you would have done it before since you knew how to do it.
Amen.
Listen, when somebody wants to copyright an idea, they don't copyright the idea after they've already let it out of the bag. They do it beforehand.
Well, Andy Kahn heard my music, and he told me also that my project was not finished. But after the fifth
Ms. Johnson,
song...
I can't help you, my dear. Can't help you. Case is dismissed. That's what you have. You have 2 demos.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy, she made the right decision.
Well, I think it was a total sham.
She came in a I Dream of Jeannie costume with finger cymbals and tried to perform a dance for us in order to take our minds off the pocket.
That's just their dream and their fantasy.
We got a little rap for y'all. Bust it out.
Check it out. Yo. You can call me Jason or even Perry Mason. You got to pay whether you recording or you hating. You want to dance with Jason, but you ain't got the skill. We went on Judge Judy, yeah, we kill.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Udico versus Corona, step forward.
Accountant Michelle Udico is suing her ex-boyfriend, plumber Stephen Corona, for ramming her Toyota 4Runner with his truck. Stephen claims Michelle is making up a story.
Miss Udico, this gentleman used to be your boyfriend, and according to your complaint, he got angry with you one evening and he intentionally damaged your truck. And Mr. Corona says that while he was angry that evening, he didn't do anything to your car, right?
That's correct.
Tell me when Mr. Corona damaged your car.
That evening, after I dropped him off at home.
What evening?
May 21st a.m., May 20th, midnight.
And where had you been?
We were first at my house, and we got into an argument, and then I dropped him off at his house.
What did you get into an argument about?
Just general things, what couples normally get in arguments about. I mean...
I usually get into an argument with my husband about how many pairs of shoes I bring home.
Okay.
So what were you arguing about?
You know, I don't recall what the argument was about, but we got into one, and I dropped him off at home like he wanted to go. He wanted to leave, so I took him home.
What time?
It's probably about 10 or 11 at night.
And where did you go when you dropped him off?
I went over to his house. Visit
What's his
over
name?
This is my friend Frank. And I was there with a couple of friends. We were sitting out on the front porch, and then that's when he showed up.
And Mr. Corona, you acknowledged that you came looking for her.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And what happened when he came looking for you?
Well, he had asked for me to get into my truck and go home, to let's go home.
When he told you to get into your truck and let's go home, was he in his car or out of his car?
He was out of his car at the time. He parked next to my car on the street, and he got off of his car and pretty much demanding for me to leave. And with the look in his eyes pretty much looked violent, and I did not want to go, so I didn't.
He told you to get in the car and go home?
Yeah.
And what did you say to him?
Well, I was going to go. But then, I turned around and I said, no, I'm not going.
What did you say to him?
I didn't say anything to him.
When he said get in the car, did you tell him okay?
Yeah, I said okay. Yeah,
well, that's what I'm asking you. That's what I'm asking. It's not a hard question. Okay. I'm just trying to follow the events. What happened starting from once upon a time and ending with the end. So he got out of his car and he said, get in the car, I want you to go home. He says he acknowledges he said that to you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said, okay.
Right.
And he says that that's what you said. You said you would follow him, right?
She said she was going to go home to meet her there.
But then you decided not to go home.
Yes, I decided not to go home.
So you turned around and you said to your friend,
right,
Frank.
Correct.
Frank, could you sit up, please? Sit up. Good. Thank you, Frank. You said to Frank and his friends, I'm not going with him.
That's correct.
And you went back to the porch.
Right.
So far, your stories are exactly the same. But here's where we come to a fork in the road.
Right.
What happened next, Miss Judico?
Well, he got upset. He got into his car, and he wrecked into my car, which was not good enough for him, so he sped off and made a U-turn and came back around and wrecked even more into my car. And then
what do you mean wrecked? I don't know.
He wrecked his car into my car.
You mean he hit his car into your truck?
Yes, he hit his car into mine. So.
And he did that twice?
He did it twice.
Mr. Corona?
Yes, ma'am.
I read your answer, and you flatly deny that this is the way it happened. So I have a few questions for you. Mr. Corona.
Yes.
What did you have an argument with Miss Judico about that evening?
We were arguing about her staying home and her wanting to go out, and I was trying to get her to stay home, but she insisted on leaving. She told me that she had to get up to go to work in the morning. That's why she wanted to drop me off, because usually I stay the night there. And it was kind of odd that she wanted me to go home, because she actually picked me up, and usually I drive over there, but she picked me up earlier, and then she dropped me off. You know, she insisted on dropping me off.
I don't... Excuse me, ma'am.
So, you cared about her a lot?
Sure. Very much so.
You the jealous type?
No, but I...
A little bit?
Sure, isn't everybody?
I don't know. Depends upon if you've got something to be jealous about. So let me understand this, Mr. Corona. Your girlfriend tells you she's got to get up early in the morning and she drives you home.
That's what she said.
You've got something in the back of your head that says, what's your first name?
Steve.
Steve. Steve, something's not kosher here. Because I usually spend the night, so I'm going to get into my car and go and look for her. Right? That's what you did.
Exactly.
And you're driving around, and something said, why don't you go over to old Frank's house? So you had the feeling maybe she was over there fooling around with Frank, right?
Possibly.
Well, you were going to give it a look-see anyway, right?
Sure.
I mean, is that what happened? Sure, that's where your car ended up.
Sure.
And then, sure enough, your girlfriend of a year and a half who had to get up early to go out to do something the next day, there she was, sitting, chilling with Frank on the porch. And you double parked your car next to hers.
Exactly next to hers on the side, parallel.
And you got out of the car and you said, I want you to get into the car and come home with me. Right?
And she said
and
yes.
she said...
She said yes.
Yes.
She said, I'm going to follow you. I'll meet you at my house.
I'm going to follow you home. I'm going to meet you home. And then she didn't.
That's right.
And then, according to your answer, you went home and went to sleep.
That's right.
That's wrong.
First, before that, before I went home, I went to her house and I waited in the front for her at her house.
Just a second. So you actually followed her direction and you went home.
Yeah. No.
How long did you sit in your car in front of her house waiting for her?
About 20 minutes.
Till he broke into my house.
Don't speak. 20 minutes?
About 20 minutes.
20 minutes. And while you were waiting this 20 minutes, did you start to get upset?
No. No.
You started to get, just a second, you started to get, if you weren't upset, did you start to get hungry?
I was.
Shh. Did you start to get hungry? Tired?
Yeah, tired, yes.
So you were tired?
Yes, I was tired.
And you said, forget it.
Exactly.
She made a fool out of me.
I'm done with it.
I'm finished with her.
That's right.
She made a real fool out of me this time because she made a fool out of me earlier in the evening when she drove me home. And she was maybe going to have somebody else come and stay over, but it wasn't going to be me that night. And now I went over there and made a fool out of myself in front of other people. And she made a bigger fool out of me, so you went home and went to sleep.
I threw in the towel.
Could I see the pictures of the car, please? You have a police report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it. Well, you made the report the very next day.
Right.
What happened? Did they ever come to see you, Mr. Corona? The police?
No, ma'am.
They never came to see you?
No, ma'am.
You live in Los Angeles?
Yes.
They're probably real busy. Mr. Corona, I'm going to ask a question, but you don't even have to answer, Mr. Corona. I want you to look at my face. It's a nice face, right? You wouldn't lie to this face, Mr. Corona, would you? So I don't even want you to answer me, sir. Did it feel good? Did it feel good? It's going to cost you $2,284.56. I hope it felt that good. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't think it was right.
She knew I was telling the truth.
I disagree with her about the decision.
She made the right decision.
Like I said, I don't know what happened to her car. She was out drinking and partying.
He was very drunk and had violence in his eyes.
Just having to go through all this process is very, annoying and just bugging.
I'm moving on.
The relationship is definitely over.
Nurse Veronica Treitner is suing her daughter, 19-year-old waitress Jessica Unterberger, for her share of an insurance settlement. Veronica says Jessica cashed the check and took off with the money.
Yeah, this is case number 260 on the calendar in the matter of Treitner versus Unterberger.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, sir.
Ms. Treitner, the defendant is your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And you are suing her because, according to what I read, your daughter was riding in a car as a passenger. Who was driving?
I was driving.
And there was an accident.
Yes.
And your daughter was injured.
Yes.
She was under 18 at the time.
Yes.
And you decided, rather than going to trial, because I assume the other person was responsible?
Yes.
You settled her claim.
That's correct.
For a little over $4,000.
Yes.
She wasn't living with you at the time because your daughter has been in foster care for a good part of her adolescence.
That's correct.
And you sent her the check because there was a two-party check, and you instructed her to sign the back of the check, send it back to you, and you would give her some of the money.
That's correct.
And she kept the check and cashed it.
Yes.
And spent the money.
Yes.
So you want half the money back for her medical bills.
That's correct.
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 19.
When did you go into foster care?
I went into foster care the 24th of May in 2002 is the official date.
Who did you live with before that time?
My mother.
Had you been in foster care at any time from the age of 12 to 16?
I went to foster care when I was 14 and I turned 15 in foster care.
You have siblings?
Yes.
How old are they?
My brother's 14.
Does he live with your mother?
Yes.
Has he always lived with your mother?
Yes.
He was not in foster care?
No.
So I gather from what you tell me, you and your mother had a rocky relationship, which is why she put you in foster care.
Correct.
And you have remarried?
Yes.
Now, you took her out of foster care because you were going on a vacation or a trip?
That's not exactly true. We asked them if she could go with us. It's not so much that we took her out, but it was more like a trial to see if she could come back home and live with us.
And that's when the accident occurred?
Yes.
Tell me about the accident. When was it?
It was June 14th, 2002. We were getting onto the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and there was an 18-wheeler in front of us stopped. I stopped. The person behind me stopped. The person behind him did not. When he hit that car hit us. It bounced back and hit us again. Jessica was on the driver's side back. I was driving. The car, when it hit that side twice. We at first declined care because she said she was fine. By the time we got to New Jersey, she was complaining of symptoms of a whiplash. We took her into the hospital, and she did have whiplash.
Did the insurance company pay for the damage to your car?
Yes.
Whose insurance?
The person that hit us.
Did you sue on your behalf?
No.
Who else was in the car?
My husband was in the car, and she was in the car, and my son was in the car.
Anybody else injured besides your daughter?
Not in our car. I don't know about the other people.
Not in your car?
Right.
So what medical bills did you have for your daughter?
We had medical bills from the hospital in New Jersey where she was seen, and a hospital bill from a lab. I think it's in my paperwork.
Well, I'd like to see it.
This is the breakdown of where the money was supposed to go. It was for the radiologist. Everything else.
Did you pay these bills?
Yes.
Let me see.
I don't have the receipts. They were just paid for on I think on my husband's credit card like 2 years ago, and we don't have the bill.
Your Honor, I was in foster care, therefore Medicaid paid for the bills. I was unable to get a hold of Medicaid. I was unable to get a hold of the hospital, but I do have copies of my physical therapy that I went through, payments, and also the highlighted section is Medicaid adjustment and Medicaid paid.
Can I see it?
We did not ask them to pay anything that Medicaid paid. Her physical therapy, anything that happened in the state of Ohio.
I just need proof that you paid these bills.
I don't have it.
Well, that's unfortunate, because if she was in foster care, your daughter is absolutely right. If she was in foster care, then the state pays for any medical treatment that she had.
That's true. However, regardless of whether her bills were paid or not, it says on there that she's supposed to get $2,000 only. The other $2,000 was supposed to be for her bills. I thought if they were already paid, I would not have to bring any more proof. I mean, it's to pay her bills.
Let me ask you this question. Which one is it? Is it that you paid the bills, or you didn't pay the bills, but you felt as if $2,000 was supposed to be towards the bills, so you should be entitled to that? Which one was it?
The bills were paid.
By whom?
I paid them, and my husband paid them. They're on his...
All you have to do is show me.
I can't.
Listen to me, Miss Trentner. Even if you didn't pay and Medicaid paid, only $2,000 of that $4,000 check was to go to your daughter, and you as her parent would be entitled to the other half.
No. The other money was to pay the bills. She was only entitled to...
Listen, I do not believe, madam, that... Stop playing with the paper. I do not believe that you paid the bills. I'm going to tell you why I don't believe that you paid the bills. First of all, you don't have any evidence that you paid the bills, and you don't look like an unintelligent woman. And if you're coming to court and saying, and your complaint says, half the money was to pay for the bills, that is your whole case. Your whole case is the bills.
No, ma'am, that was not why I wanted to see the judge. Why I wanted to come was because when I sent Jessica the check, she forged my name and took any money, period. It's the fact that she forged my name, or she had somebody forge the name on my check.
Then what you're saying is, it's not because you spent your own money out of your pocket to pay for her medical bills that you should be reimbursed for. You came to court and you wanted to see the judge because your daughter had forged your name and taken all the money.
Ma'am, that is correct. However,
all right.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
I don't care at this point about the $2,000 that is in dispute, whether you say I owe it or whatever. And you can keep the $2,000. I don't care. The dispute is she forged my name on the check.
And?
I would like her to have to pay for something that she's done wrong at least once in her life.
Veronica Treitner says her daughter, Jessica Unterberger, forged her name on an insurance check and cashed it.
Ms. Treitner, your daughter was under the age of 18 at the time you sent her this check, is that right?
That is correct.
And so she was still technically your responsibility?
No, ma'am.
Oh, she was no. She was your responsibility. You chose to abdicate that responsibility by putting her in foster care.
Can I tell you why she was put in foster care?
Sure.
When she was about 12 or 13, she started to hit people, and she would not stop. We had her arrested at least twice for domestic violence before she was put out of my house. I told
Ms. Treitner, is it normal for a child who's 12 years old to act out in that way?
Yes, but...
You think it's normal for a child of 12 years old to act out in that way?
No, I don't.
Okay. So what did you as a parent do while she was living with you in order to try to get to the root of the problem as to why she was acting out in that way?
We sent her to counseling. I went to counseling with her. We tried to take my mom to counseling. We tried to get my son to go.
What do you mean you tried to take your mom to counseling?
My mom lived with us, and she would not go to counseling.
Well, was there a problem with your mother?
There's many problems with my mother, Judge.
Well, what was the problem with your mother and your daughter? What was the problem with your grandmother and you?
The main thing was before we had moved in with my grandmother, because for the longest time it was just me, my brother, and my mom. And then we decided, because my mother was working all the times, and me and my brother were from babysitter to babysitter, that it was just easier for us to live with my grandmother so she could watch us. Before we moved in with my grandmother, everything was fine. We were kids. We were allowed to go hang out, play with our friends, whatever. We moved in with my grandmother, and all that stopped. My brother was still allowed to do whatever he wanted, and I was constantly on lockdown. I wasn't allowed to talk on the phone, wasn't allowed to go hang out.
What do you mean you were on lockdown?
I was in the house 24/7. I wasn't allowed to go hang out with my friends. I wasn't allowed to go do anything school-related.
You mean your grandmother was strict with you?
Yes.
Okay. And you tried to get your mother to go to counseling?
Correct.
And your mother refused to go to counseling?
Exactly.
I assume you wanted your mother to go to counseling because you felt as if some of her behavior was not appropriate.
I felt between my mother, me, and Jessica that there was an issue that we needed to get to the bottom of. Yes.
Okay, and your mother refused to go?
Yes.
Your daughter went?
Yes.
You went?
Yes.
She's 12.
Actually, she was a little bit older.
She's 13. She's 14. I understand that you were a single mother and you had 2 children, but you put your daughter in a situation that you acknowledge was not the best situation for her with your mother, with somebody who refused to address any problems that there were, and you responded to that when your daughter started to act out, which I'm sure she acknowledges was inappropriate, inappropriate behavior, but she started to act out. Your response was, instead of moving out of your mother's house, you put her in foster care.
That's not exactly true. My mom lived with us because she could not work. She had nowhere else to go. My brother wouldn't take her. Nobody would take her.
Just a second. Is what you're telling me now that you had to make a choice between your mother and your daughter?
No.
That your mother had no place else to go and you couldn't put your mother in foster care, so you put your daughter in foster care?
No.
Come on.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to get what's happening here.
Can I kind of explain it? Jessica would go from hitting, then she went to punching. She tried to choke me. She went after her grandmother with a butcher knife. The reason that I finally put her out is because I told her, if you ever hit your brother, you cannot stay with me anymore. I put up with a lot of stuff. Even when she went to counseling, we found an excellent counselor for her, was working wonders for her. Then she decided that she didn't like him, and then she wouldn't talk to anybody. So when she hit her brother in the face, that's when I told her that she was no longer welcome in my home because she was my daughter, and I didn't know what else to do.
Okay, so that's, just a second, so that's what you did. And then you had a problem with this check. Now, you don't have to answer me as to whether or not you forged your mother's name. You forged your mother's name, you cashed the check. That's what you did, right?
Correct.
Okay, what'd you do with the money?
I was living in my own apartment, and I needed furniture for my apartment.
How old were you when you were living in your
I was 17.
Okay.
Foster care has a program called independent living, and that's what they did. They put me in independent living. I needed pots and pans, dishes.
Okay, so you were living in an apartment?
Correct.
Did you know that she was living by herself?
Yes, I did.
Good. What did you do to help her set up in her apartment?
When she set up in her own apartment, we were already in New Jersey.
I didn't ask you where you were. I said, what did you do to help her set up in her own apartment?
When she called me, I asked her if she needed anything. She told me no, she was fine.
So the answer that you're telling me is you did nothing for her to set her up in her own apartment at age 17.
I asked her if she needed, right, that's correct.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What she's telling you she does for a living is not what she does for a living.
Well, tell me what she does for a living.
She has tried to sue the state of New York twice.
Suing the city of New York is not a living. She lied about what she did for a living.
Yes, she did.
You tell me what she does for a living.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Veronica Treitner says her daughter, Jessica Unterberger, stole her share of an insurance settlement.
Okay. So she says she needed furniture and pots and pans, and she needed some money. Were you working?
Yes.
What kind of work were you doing?
I was working at a pizza parlor.
Are you still working there?
No, that was in Ohio. I currently live in New York now.
And what do you do in New York?
During the summer season, I'm a soccer referee, and right now I'm working as a waitress.
Where?
At a restaurant on the east side.
You live alone?
Yes.
That's a hesitant yes.
Because I'm living in a room in a house. There's other people in the house, but it's my room.
So you rent a room?
Yes.
What's your rent?
$120 a week.
And how long have you lived there?
I've lived in this particular place for about 2 weeks now.
Prior to that, where were you living?
I was living in Ridgewood in another one room, and I was paying $90 a week there, and I lived there for 3 months. And before that, I was living with my fiance's parents.
And that didn't work out?
No.
So from the time you were 17 until now, you've taken care of yourself?
Correct.
You got my drift.
I don't understand why you want to believe her, because what she's telling you is not true.
Just a second. All I'm asking you is, you're her mother.
That's correct.
From the time she was 17 until today, other than this $2,000, how much money have you given your daughter?
None, because I did not know where she was.
Now you know where she was. Whether you know where she was or you don't know where she was, you've given her nothing, and she's managed to support herself.
If that's what you want to call it.
Well, she's managed to support herself.
But what she's telling you she does for a living is not what she does for a living.
Well, tell me what she does for a living.
She has tried to sue the state of New York twice.
Yeah.
She has lied to you about not where she lives, but who she lives with. And
listen to me. I asked you a simple question. You said to me she lied about what she does for a living. And I'm asking you, if she lied about what she did for a living,
she did.
You tell me what she does for a living. Suing the city of New York is not a living.
I understand that.
All right.
What she told you and what she told me was that she works in a restaurant and she gets paid under the table.
Who cares?
But that is not true.
Well, so tell me what she does.
I'm not sure. But I know she doesn't do that.
Let's try. Now, let me tell you something. I was concerned.
You know what?
I'm speaking. I was concerned about your lawsuit from the beginning, because it seems to me that you were...
Again,
I'm speaking. You were in a car. You were the driver of the car. Your minor daughter was injured in an accident that, according to you, and I have no reason to doubt you, was not your fault. I have children, and if one of my children was injured in an accident, and the accident resulted in that child getting a claim, why don't you try paying attention instead of crying because you're not going to get any money?
I don't care about the money.
Then just listen. Then just listen. It would seem to me what I would do is I would say, gee, here's $4,000. I'm going to put this in an account for my child for their future, either for college or to set them up in an apartment or to help them maybe with a car. But certainly, I didn't pay out any money because I had insurance that covered the medical bills.
That's not true.
And you didn't pay any money because I don't believe that either you or your husband paid any money, because if you did, you would have the canceled check. You would have your credit card statement showing that you paid the amount 2 years ago, because if you knew you were coming to court and that's the evidence that you required, that's the evidence that you would have. Now, you say you're angry because she forged your name and she should be taught a lesson. Well, it was the wrong thing for her to do, to forge your name and to take the money to use to set up an apartment. But at the time she was 17 years old, she was placed in independent living, you had your own apartment. You were working marginally to pay for whatever was in the apartment, and she needed the money. And since you weren't forthcoming with the money, and you knew how to reach her, because you knew where to send the check, you sent her the check and said, darling, sign the back of this check. When I get the money, I'll give you half.
That's not what happened.
That's what you told me in your complaint. You said, you want me to read you what you wrote? You said, I sent her the check unsigned. I sent it by certified mail.
That's correct.
Okay, so you knew where to send it.
Right after that.
Yeah, just a second. So you knew where to send it. And if you knew where to send it, was she in foster care or was she in her own apartment?
She was in her own apartment at that time.
And how much had you given her at that time to help her set up an apartment? A little slush funds.
Considering that I had just found out that she was on her own, I couldn't have sent her anything, could I have? I did not know.
Yes, just a second.
I did not know.
Yes, my dear, you could have. You could have said, here's $4,000 that I just got. But I'm speaking. You're on your own. I'm signing this check over to you, my sweetheart. I know you've had a difficult teenage time. We haven't always gotten along, but you're on your own now. Here's $4,000 that none of us anticipated because you decided to settle the case for her. Here's $4,000. I want you to take it. Whatever you don't need, listen, whatever you don't need to set up your apartment, put in a bank account and use it with my love. Because part of it should come to me, I'm giving it to you. That's what you should have done. You didn't do it then, you're doing it now. Your case is dismissed, that's all.
I can't believe this. You win again, you stupid...
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
My mom has a way of twisting things to make it out so that she's always right. She's always been against me, and I think the main part of that is because you look at me, she looks at me and she sees my father. It's been like this my whole life. I've been through foster care, I've been in and out of juvenile detention. Yes, I should not have hit her, but I had no other way to get out of that place. I don't want to get hurt anymore, so if this is how she's going to be, then I don't want to be around that. It's not healthy for me. I think I've paid enough for her. What kind of mother is she? She's just blood. That's all she is. She's not my mother. My foster mother, the one I was with for 2 years, that is my mother. You'll probably see us here in a couple of years. She'll find something else.
Plaintiff Lucinda Waters is suing her stepdaughter, 22-year-old secretary Kim Flatt, and her husband, 24-year-old construction worker Brandon Flatt. Lucinda says when the couple fell on hard times, she helped them pay their bills.
This is case number 192 on the calendar in the matter of Waters versus Flatt.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Ms. Waters, do you have a problem that requires you to wear a visor and sunglasses?
Yes, ma'am. I have a letter from the doctor here.
Could I see it, please?
Yes.
All right, well, this is a letter requesting permission for you to wear the visor and glasses.
Yes.
So I have no objection.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Waters, this young lady is your stepdaughter.
Yes.
And her husband.
Yes.
And this gentleman?
Is my husband.
This is your daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
Your complaint alleges that you loaned your stepdaughter and her husband a little over $10,000.
Yes.
And they have repaid half.
A little less than half.
And you want the balance?
Yes.
Your stepdaughter and her husband say they've paid you back all that they have to because they did some work, some barter for you that took care of the balance of the loan. That's your defense. Is that right? How much money did she borrow from you?
Total? Probably about $70,000.
What did you borrow the money for?
For car payments. She paid insurance. There is a payoff balance there from a vehicle that she had taken.
For a car?
Right.
That you needed?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how much money did you borrow from your mother?
Her or my real mother?
Your biological mother?
None.
None? How much money did you borrow from your father?
None.
So it sounds to me, from your mother and your father, you got squat. From your stepmother, you got a whole bunch, right?
Right.
Now, you paid her back $4,000. She says she's loaned you over the years a lot more than $10,000. So now you are going to explain to me why you didn't pay her back the rest. Who's speaking?
Well, first of all, it all started out where we were getting behind.
Why were you getting behind?
On trying to get everything paid.
Why?
Financially.
We were financially in a rut, Your Honor, and...
Why were you in a rut? You're two young people. How many children do you have?
2.
2. Do you work?
Yes.
Do you work?
Yes.
Well, I have slow season at my work, and then we weren't making the bills, and Miss Waters took on a couple loans for us. That's how...
Well, that was really nice of her. You have mother and father?
Yes.
Did they give you money to pay off your bills?
No. If they had,
Yeah,
they
brother.
would.
What?
If they had, they would, though.
That's always a good answer. If I had it, I'd give you anything I had. All I wish to have is that I had it. So far, I've got your mother and father who gave you nothing, her mother and father who gave you nothing, and stepmother who gave you a lot. Right? I'm listening to a yes.
They helped us out, yes.
She helped you out.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So now I'm listening as to why you didn't pay her back. I'm listening.
We were renting a house from her. We did a bunch of repairs.
You were renting a house from her?
Yes.
So she had a house. Tell me about the house.
The house, originally when we first got married, she purchased a house for us, and we were buying the house off of her through a bank.
So she purchased a house, and she said to you, if you pay it off, it's yours. If you pay off the note, it's yours.
Yes.
Did she put any money down on the house?
I paid 100% of it. Their closing costs, their furniture, everything. All they had to do was move in.
And they were supposed to pay you back by paying rent every month?
Well, no, it was actually a mortgage set up at that time.
Oh, good.
So that they could get credit.
And how much were they supposed to pay you every month?
At that point, it was $435 a month.
What a bargain. Couldn't get that anywhere else, could you?
No, we got and we paid on it.
So?
About 2 years went by, we ran into some problems where my mother-in-law wanted to take the house back into her name.
Why was that?
We ran into marital problems.
Yeah.
And instead of losing the house, my mother-in-law wanted to sign the house back over into her name.
Your Honor, before that, before they had marital problems, they were over 3 months behind. I made arrangements with them at that time because I was going to go ahead and go into foreclosure because they were behind on their car payments, which Ford Credit was getting ready to come and repo. They called me. I had to send money to them to stop that. They were over 3 months behind on the mortgage. They talked me into stopping the foreclosure if I would give them a chance, and so I let them make month-and-a-half payments until they caught it up. Then they split up. And that time, my stepdaughter had actually moved in with another gentleman, and we allowed the grandchildren and Mr. Flat, Brandon here, to move in with my husband and I to help him out because everything was really chaotic at that time.
So far, does that sound right, Brandon? Did you go and live with them?
Yeah, for about a week or two.
So they were very nice to you?
Grandchildren.
Well, you were there, too, weren't you?
Yes.
You ate there, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
You slept there?
Yes.
Ah, I got it. Why don't you owe her the rest of the money?
Well, we ended up getting back together, moved back into the house, and at this time, my mother-in-law owned the home, and at this time, she decided to rent us the house.
She decided to what?
Rent us the house instead of mortgage payments.
Okay.
We did a bunch of repairs on the house, and she had an agreement where if I was going to help her do this work, she was going to sell us the house back, and she was going to use that money that I did on the work in the house as a down payment back to that house. That was a verbal agreement we had.
Is that right?
Somewhat.
What kind of an agreement did you have with him?
What happened was in October of 2003, they had come up and told me that they were not going to rent the house any longer when the lease ran out in March, I think it was. I told them at that point then I was going to have to do some renovations to the house and put it on the market to sell it because I needed to get out from under it because of the expenses. Then after some of the improvements that we were doing, we were, adding to actually make it a 3-bedroom home. They decided they liked the landscaping and everything we were doing to it. It looked real nice again, so they told me they wanted to buy it. So we told them at that point in time, if they were going to buy it, they had to get their own mortgage, that we couldn't do it. That was, we had done all we could do.
Right. Get your money, act like grown-ups, take care of yourself.
I told them, which basically wasn't legal, but I said, okay, if you help us finish this up so they can come in and do an appraisal on the house to help you get a mortgage, we'll say that you've put X amount of dollars down. So it'll make it easier for you to get this mortgage.
Gotcha. Does that sound right?
Yes, it does, yeah.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Hey, why don't you turn around? Just look at him, okay? Now look at me. In 10 years, you won't remember what he looks like. I'm being serious with you. In 10 years, unless you have pictures around the house to look at, you will not remember what he looks like.
And later today...
What word of be quiet didn't you understand? B. You didn't understand B? B. Well, then try it again, because Bill Clinton, you're not.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lucinda Waters says her stepdaughter, Kim Flatt, and her husband, Brandon, owe for loans to pay their bills. Lucinda also says the couple won't let her see the grandchildren.
So I'm still waiting to hear why you didn't pay your stepmother back and your mother-in-law back the money that you owe her.
Well, the last month we lived there, Your Honor, we were half a month behind, and she decided to evict us, so...
Why were you half a month behind?
Bills got caught.
Bills! You know, the two of you were like an accident looking to happen. You're old enough to make children, you're old enough to play house, but you're not old enough to take care of your business. This lady is not going to continue to take care of your business and to clean up after you. You have parents, they don't help you. You have brothers and sisters, who knows, and how many other relatives. Nobody else helps you except this lady here, and you pay her back by not paying her back. You two are an outrage. Do you get my point?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh?
Yes, ma'am.
You ought to thank her by kissing her anywhere she says. Instead of not paying her back what you owe her. Don't say anything else, Miss Waters. I'm not often prone to give advice and to talk about wise, age-old adages, but no good deed goes unpunished. You see, he's probably talking to his mother and father, who gave him nothing. Only, I'd give you anything I had if I had it, but I don't have it. She's probably still talking to her mother. She might even be talking to her father, who gave her nothing. The only one that they're not talking to is the one who was most generous and took care of them, and that's you.
And they won't even let me see the grandchildren.
Well, then they are stupid, insensitive babies, right? Because the only one that helped you is her. And it would seem to me that if you have children and the only grandparent that they can count on is her, then it would seem to me that you are really two of the dumbest people that I've met in a long time if you don't allow her to see her grandchildren.
They told me I would get a restraining order if I even tried to go see them.
Why is that?
Because look, she's trying to come after us for everything we ever had. She didn't always help us. She was always trying to bury us in financial debt every time she got a chance. Oh, I'll go buy you a car, and you know, I need a car, so what can I do? I don't want my kids around somebody like that.
Where do you come from? Where do you come from? What jurisdiction do you come from? What state?
Florida.
Florida. Where in Florida?
Ocala.
They would have the water tested there. You owe her $5,000. And if you're smart and if you're sensitive, listen, see your first husband?
Yes.
Are you as dumb as he is?
No.
So you understand that he sounds very stupid. He does sound very stupid. You have children?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he the father of your children?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were separated once?
Twice.
Twice. I want you to turn around, just look at him, okay? Now look at me. In 10 years, you won't remember what he looks like. I'm being serious with you. In 10 years, unless you have pictures around the house to look at, you will not remember what he looks like. Now I want you to look at her. You're going to always know what she looks like. She's going to be the staple in your life, not him. Now, quite frankly, you're irrelevant, but your children aren't irrelevant. You're going to have to rely on them. If you cut them off, you're as dumb as he is. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think that I'm right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
They think that they just can get it and they don't have to pay it back.
I really don't believe that I owed her the money.
I was told to get out of their home, which was my home at the time.
Blown out of proportion.
I just want us all to be a family again.
In the future, yeah, I do see it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Feynman versus Hernandez. Step forward.
Aspiring author Annie Feynman is suing her former astrologer, Anita Hernandez, for breach of confidentiality. Annie says Anita used her pen name without permission.
Ms. Feynman, your lawsuit alleges that somehow Ms. Hernandez published something with your name on it. It wasn't your name, it was a pen name that you used, and that people might recognize the pen name and attribute whatever problem it was to you. So I want you to explain to me and to Bird here, what did she publish, when did she publish it, why it caused embarrassment to you, and why you think that she breached some sort of confidentiality arrangement she had with you. Let's go.
Okay. I've been in a depression for a while, so I decided to consult an astrologer. And I gave her some personal details of what had been happening.
You're an astrologer?
Yes.
How did you find her?
I had been seeing her website for quite a while, and she's very...
On the internet?
Yes. She's a very interesting astrologer, and I thought this would be an interesting way to maybe solve some of the problems I'm having. So the email name I use, the Flame McBain email name...
The what? Flame?
Flame McBain, which happens to be the main character of a novel I wrote, which I'm sending out to get published. It isn't published yet. That's why I'm nervous about this information being sent all over the internet, because I'm afraid a scandal might come of it, because the information she put out in a newsletter...
Just a second. You're getting ahead of yourself. Oh. So you wanted her to do what?
I wanted a chart.
You wanted a chart?
Yeah, some astrological calculations as to what was happening. Very personal, embarrassing details.
Ms. Feynman, you sent this over the internet?
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead. So, along with personal details that you wouldn't want the stranger to know about.
I thought it was just going to Miss Hernandez. Well, you have a point.
What I want to see now is how you published her problem, because what she's complaining about is that you published her problem and people could identify her.
It's a limerick.
It's a limerick. I remember limericks from high school.
Ogden Nash.
Don't let them see that. Is this what you're complaining? I want you to take a look at that. Is this what you're complaining about?
Yeah, this is exactly what she had sent out the newsletter. I didn't get it, coincidentally enough, but my friend did. My witness got it. That's how I found out about it.
Okay. Can I see it, please?
Had she...
Suffice it to say, without going into details, which would be even more embarrassing for you, because instead of a few people getting it on the internet, hopefully, since our courtroom is televised, hopefully tens of millions of people will be watching.
And won't know the details.
And won't know the details. So you were asking about a situation that you had that involved something personal.
Right.
And she responded by writing a little poem and identified you by the use of the name that you sent her, which was Flame McBain.
I've used this name for 8 years. People know that it's me. Had she just said my client, it wouldn't have been a problem.
It wouldn't have been a limerick.
Just a second. Just a second. Why did you use that name when you sent her?
I didn't. She used it from my email address.
Right. And she says clearly, no real names used.
Right, but I've used that name for 8 years. People know it's me.
So what? She didn't use any real names, and the only way she could convey to you things were by using your name.
Beyond what's happening now, I'm very nervous that if I do get published, that this would come out to be used against me in the future and cause me public embarrassment. I wanted to, like, get it over with now.
Her novel is about a hooker. Her novel is about a hooker.
Miss Hernandez, Miss Hernandez, put it away. Put it away. Miss Feynman, listen to me very carefully. Shh.
Third generation.
Shh. What word of be quiet didn't you understand?
B.
You didn't understand B?
B.
We're going to try it again, because Bill Clinton, you're not. If you're afraid that the name Flame McBain will come back and haunt you if your novel is published, is that what your real concern is? Change the name.
Change what name?
Flame McBain.
It's too late. It's copyrighted, and the book is...
Just a second. Nobody bought it yet. If somebody...
I have sold it unpublished.
Listen to me. If somebody buys it, change the name. Miss Feynman.
I can't do that.
Get it. Why can't you?
That's my character's name.
Change it. If you're afraid of being embarrassed, change the name.
Way too late for that. Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Listen, if you don't want something to be out there in the general... Wherever they put the
things,
it's already listen to me
copyrighted.
carefully. Wherever they go in the internet, wherever things go in the internet, you know, into outer space, don't put it in writing. Nothing is private that's on the internet. And if you didn't learn that before, this is a very good lesson. And if you're not afraid of it being out there, but what your real fear is that it may negatively impact on your book, change the name of your heroine. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Scandal, embarrassment, shame.
She loved the poem, and she said, I love it.
I can't change the name of the character.
Sorry stories like that are what I teach from.
It has put me into a dilemma.
And I needed it, and I used it.
I mean, she's a very good astrologer. I just don't trust her. I'm sorry.
I feel bad that she feels bad.
Plaintiff William Richard is suing his son's former friend, 20-year-old home health aide Crystal Davis, for vandalizing his home. William says Crystal and her friends threw 2 open cans of paint through his front window.
Yeah, this is case number 193 on the calendar in the matter of Richard versus Davis. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Is this your mother?
Yes.
Mr. Richard, it is your claim that the defendant, along with 2 others, vandalized your home a little over a year ago. Yeah. Is that right? Now, Ms. Davis says that while she was with these 2 other people who vandalized your home, she really didn't do anything herself. She was just in the car with them.
Yes.
Okay. Let me see if I understand the relationship between the 2 of you. Your mother was dating his son.
No, she wasn't dating his son.
She was what with his son?
He worked on her cars and he helped fix things around her house.
You mean there was no relationship other than that of a handyman with your mother?
Yes.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right, sir?
No, sir.
It is your claim that your son and this lady had a relationship.
My son lived with her about 2 years.
In her house?
In her house.
And it is your claim that the relationship was more than that of just a handyman?
Yes.
And at some point, you got annoyed with his son?
Yes.
Why, Miss Davis? I'd like you to speak up so I can hear you. I'm getting older.
He threatened my mom's life. He put his...
Why would he do that?
He was crazy. He was jealous. I don't know.
He was jealous? Well, why would a handyman be jealous of your mother?
He liked her and she didn't want nothing to do with him.
Did he live in your house?
For a couple months.
So the answer is he lived in your house?
Yes.
And he liked your mother?
Yes.
And she didn't like him?
No.
Tell me about the vandalism to your house, Mr. Richard.
They thrown 2 buckets of paint through the window, and it went all over the furniture and carpet and everything.
Do you have pictures of the house?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see them, please? Had your son moved home when this happened?
No, he was living with me because we was remodeling the place.
What I'm asking you, Mr. Richard, is had your son left Miss Davis's home at that point?
Yes.
Now, tell me what happened on June 30th, Miss Davis. And I want you to keep your voice up and keep your eyes over here.
He had called my mom several times that day, threatening her life. And
You mean his son?
Yes. And he had called my grandparents, threatening them. He threatened me and my brother's life. I told a couple of my friends what he had been saying, and...
You told who?
2 of my friends.
Names?
Chuck and...
Chuck what? Who else did you tell?
Well, his friend. I don't know his name.
You told them what?
What his son had been doing.
Okay. And then what happened?
They said they knew how to get back at him. They got 2 cans of paint, and we drove in his car.
In whose car?
Chuck's.
And where did you go?
To his son's house.
Well, you didn't know Chuck's friends, is that right?
No, I'd only met him a couple times.
And Chuck? Does Chuck know his son?
Yeah, he's met him.
Where?
At my mom's house.
But you knew where he lived?
Yes.
They didn't know where he lived. So you had to give them directions?
Yes.
Right. So you gave them directions on how to get there. And what happened when they got there?
They pulled up in front of his house and got out through the paint, through the windows, got back in the car and left.
Okay. On June 30th, my friends took it upon themselves to vandalize Tony Richards' house. That's what you wrote here, right? As is stated in the police report, I didn't throw the paint, so no charges were filed. Did you tell the police that you went to Chuck's friend's house when they gathered the paint together?
No.
No. Did you tell the police that you gave them directions on how to get to Mr. Richards' house?
No.
No. How come you told me? Because I asked you?
Yes.
And because you knew that you couldn't lie to me. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So, what makes you think that you are not responsible for the damage to Mr. Richards' house?
Because I didn't do it.
Because what?
I didn't actually throw the paint.
Is there something wrong with you?
No.
You are responsible. You instigated it. You were involved in gathering the materials for the vandalism. You were responsible for directing these other 2 people, if they were in fact the ones that threw the paint, directing them how to get to Mr. Richards' home, something that they did not know. You are responsible. You understand?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your son is in all probability a nut. That doesn't mean that she wasn't a lonely lady, but your son is a nut.
And later today...
How long have you been married, sir?
43 years, August 31st.
And without asking you anymore, you've had enough.
That's right.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. William Richard says his son's former friend vandalized his home with paint. Crystal Davis says she didn't act alone.
Now, you decided not to pursue this matter because your son asked you not to. Is that right?
My son did it on his own. I didn't know nothing about it.
Did what on his own?
He didn't press charges on it because he made a deal with her mother.
Drop the charges.
That she would not file charges against him if he wouldn't file charges against them. The next day, she filed charges against my son.
Is your son in jail now?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he crazy?
No, ma'am.
How many times has your son been arrested?
I say 3 or 4 times.
That is not true.
Step up. Miss Davis, clearly you exercised poor judgment in having this person move into your house. I'm surmising that there was more to this relationship than either you're telling me or that your daughter's telling me.
Oh, there's more.
There's more. Okay. Do you know how many times Mr. Richard's son was arrested?
36 times on separate accounts.
Can I see, please?
Yes.
How many of those involved you?
He was never arrested on my account, unfortunately.
Okay, but he was arrested 36 times on other charges.
On other charges, such as armed robbery, all those there listed.
Check if the defendant's criminal history reveals that he has been arrested 36 times on such violent charges as armed robbery, breaking and entering, prowling, burglary, DUI, carrying a concealed weapon, a machete, drug possession, felony battery.
I don't know nothing about that.
Oh, well, you got to listen. You got to pay more attention to what's happening in your own family, Mr. Richard. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That, madam, does not excuse trashing his house. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see the bill for cleanup of this house, please?
Your Honor.
What?
May I get to say something
Sure.
else? All these papers here are restraining orders that I filed.
I think he's a bad person. Miss Davis, that doesn't give your daughter license to trash Mr. Richard's house. Do you understand that?
I understand that.
Right, it doesn't give her license to take the law into her own hands and throw paint through a window at his house.
I understand that, Your
Good, that's all.
It's not all. What this man has put us through, and
Which
my
man?
family, his son.
He is not responsible for his 43-year-old son. Are you responsible for what your daughter did?
In a way, yes, I guess I am.
Good, then you can pay the damages. His son put you through a lot. What possible motive would you have to bring a nut into your house?
He was referred to me as a mechanic and a handyman.
So you bring a 40-some-odd-year-old man into your house. You have no idea about his background. It turns out he's been arrested 36 times. That doesn't make you a genius.
Well,
in any event, his son may have caused you all kinds of aggravation, but that doesn't give your daughter license to trash Mr. Richard's house. And if you don't see it, then I understand why you brought this 40-year-old felon into your house.
Your Honor.
What?
My son met her at a bar.
Listen to me. Your son is where he belongs. He is in jail. I hope.
But this is what brought everything up.
Listen to me.
To this deal.
Listen to me.
So.
Your son is in all probability a nut. That doesn't mean that she wasn't a lonely lady, but your son is a nut. That doesn't excuse what she did, and for that you're going to get paid. And since her mother says, well, I'm partially responsible for what she did, she can help.
Well, I certainly wish the law had helped us in all this whole time.
Madam, if you exercised better judgment, you wouldn't be standing here today. That doesn't excuse what Mr. Richard's son did to you and your family. It doesn't excuse the fact that the law may have been slow in moving to get him out of your life, but it does not excuse your daughter's criminal behavior.
So what about responsibility of the two gentlemen who did do actually throwing of the paint?
Listen, you can, if you like, sue them and say, my daughter didn't act alone. There were 3 of you. It's not up to him to go find these two other people. She doesn't even know the name of one of them, according to her, which I don't believe. How is he supposed to find out where they are? She knows where they are. She enlisted their assistance. It's her responsibility. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The system is certainly for the criminal, not for the innocent victims.
She's playing the victim because every time something comes up, she calls the police, has them arrested for stalking.
She would never got involved with something like that if it hadn't have been that this man had been harassing me.
He met her in a bar. 15 minutes later, they had her out on the hood of a car.
His son has stalked my mom.
I don't know that. That was between my son and her mother.
I didn't actually do it, and anything he did get, he deserved.
I would have pressed charges against her for criminal.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Dallahan versus Tinley, step forward.
Plaintiff Ross Dallahan is suing his daughter, day spa owner Karen Tinley, for the return of $500 he paid for a family picture. Karen says her father is bitter because her mother left him.
Mr. Dallahan, Miss Tinley is your daughter.
Yes, it is.
And you are suing your daughter for $500 because you say you gave her $500 and there were certain stipulations. There was a contract. The contract was she was to do certain things. She was to prepare a photo album. She was supposed to bring grandchildren to come to visit you and a couple of other things, which she didn't do. And therefore, since she didn't fulfill her portion of the contract, you want your money back.
That's right.
Your daughter says that this money was given without stipulation and that you're just angry because your wife doesn't want to come back to you. Your wife left you, sir?
Yes, she does.
And this is your mother, I assume?
Correct.
And she's happy being without you and she doesn't want any part of you and therefore you're angry, so you want this money back.
That's correct.
How long have you been married, sir?
43 years, August 31st.
And without asking you any more, you've had enough.
That's right.
You fulfilled your sentence.
Thank you.
Mr. Dallahan? Got it?
No, I don't.
So tell me about this $500 that you gave your daughter.
On April 14th of this year, my wife decided that she would begin talking to me after all efforts of reconciliation, trying to go to marriage counseling, would not work. She said that she would start talking to me again, and she agreed that she would start dating me again, and as a result, I gave her $1,400 with no stipulation.
Okay.
That's my wife.
Okay.
The same day, I gave my daughter Karen $500 with stipulation.
And what did you say to her when you gave her the $500, and what did she say to you?
First of all, I thanked her for taking good care of my wife.
Okay.
And I said, I want you to have this money, but there are 3 things that I want from this. One is a family album to show that you're going to be part of my family again and let me be a father to the family, which you've never been able to do. The other stipulation was that she allowed me as a father to prepare a meal for her, her husband, and 2 daughters to come into my home so I could tell them as a father what I would like to see as a family reconciling.
Okay.
And the third one was take the money that I give you that is left over from the album. I want you to divide between the 4 of you.
Which 4?
Her husband and her 2 daughters.
So?
So the first of the next month, I talked to my wife on the phone again, and I asked her about if she had the album made for me, and she said no, because she'd been hauling the girls around too much.
Go ahead.
Anyway, I said, well, can I come by the house and pick up the album? My wife said, I don't think that's a good idea.
She said that there was no album. How could you pick it up if there was no album?
That's right. She
Yeah.
never did that.
Okay.
So then my wife decided to break off all communication with me, and as a result, because I didn't get what I asked for, I called up, and even though she wouldn't answer the phone, I left a message that I wanted the money returned. And she did not return the money.
Okay. Ms. Tinley, I'll hear you.
For one thing, there was never any photo album mentioned at all.
Look at me. What was mentioned? He handed you $500.
Right.
What did he say?
He says, well, here's $500 for taking such good care of your mom. And I says, I don't mind taking care of my mom. You know, she's my mom. I love her. I'd do anything for her. So to me, that was a gift.
Well, what did he say about a photo?
He said, I would like to have a family picture. And I said, I don't have one. He says, well, he says, you've got money. He says, you can have one made. I didn't have a problem with that.
Good.
So...
What else? Did he say anything about bringing your family over to his house?
Not to his house. He says, I have something I want to tell your family. Because up to this point, he has never admitted that he was wrongdoing with my mom or anything. And he admitted that to my mom that day. He says, everything that has happened is my fault. And I was surprised to hear that.
Okay.
But 2 weeks later, I mean, I don't have a family that lives at home. So to get a family picture done in 2 weeks is a little bit impossible for us.
Okay. So what happened? So he called and said, where's the picture?
Conversations, he'd been calling and was not being very nice on the phone. So we quit answering the phone. If his number came up, we didn't answer the phone. 2 weeks later, one of the messages was, if you don't do what I want you to, you know, you just send the money back, baby. That was his words. I remember that.
All right. So what I'm getting, Miss Tinley, is minimally, in his head, he expected a family picture for this $500.
Right.
And is it? You have a picture of you at home?
I do.
You have a picture of your 2 daughters at home?
I do.
So this is what I want you to do. I want you to take a picture of you, the 2 girls, take them over to a drugstore where they have one of those machines where you put the pictures in and it makes a copy?
Right.
You're prepared to do that?
I can do that. I can do that at my home.
Perfect. I want you to do that. You're going to do that within the next 3 days.
I can do that.
And then you're going to send it to your father.
Okay.
That's what you're going to get, sir. Right?
That's right.
Great. Very good. And then she gets to keep the $500. But I know this is going to be difficult for you. But there'll be a time, sir, that I'm telling you, you're a very nice-looking man.
Thank you.
And you seem to have lots of personality. And you've got a little bit of zip in your step. Yet, right?
That's right.
You're going to find somebody who's just going to be crazy about you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Appreciate it.
Not her.
Not me.
Good luck.
Oh, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Oh, these are excuses. You may step out.
Well, I think it's pretty bad when a father takes his daughter to court when he's given her money for a gift.
My daughter is one of the main instigators of her leaving me.
This is it. No more. There will be no family getting back together.
I would like to see reconciliation with my wife, yes.
It's not going to happen.
I am changing.
Unfortunately, he's done too much.
This is the 3rd time she's left me.
22-year-old payroll scheduler April Thomas is suing her cousin's ex-girlfriend, 19-year-old health aid worker Tiffany Johnson, for vandalism to her 2000 Dodge Neon. Tiffany is countersuing, claiming April vandalized her Kia Optima.
Come to order, all rise. Quiet in the courtroom, all rise. Aye. Your Honor, this is case number 255 on the calendar in the matter of Thomas versus Johnson. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Anybody who's been to court before, raise your hand. Were you a litigant?
No, traffic court.
And you?
Criminal court.
Criminal court.
Mm-hmm.
I assume you weren't a prosecutor.
No.
Right?
No.
Good. So we all know what court's about. Court's about telling the truth.
Truth.
So that's what we're going to do today, right, ladies?
Yes.
I have cross complaints. Each of you claimed that the other damaged their car purposely by breaking windows. And each of you say, I didn't do her window, and I didn't do her window.
I didn't do her window.
I didn't do her window.
She has a child with him.
No.
With who?
With my cousin. He's not here.
Where is he?
He's in jail.
Ah! He's in jail. A testament to your good judgment.
Yes.
And according to your complaint, there was some sort of altercation involving the 2 of them, your cousin and his then ex-girlfriend and the mother of his child. And since then, there's been some bad blood between the 2 of you. So I want you to tell me when you claim she damaged your car, where the car was, and who witnessed it.
Okay. My car was at my house in my driveway. It was about 5:30 a.m. I don't have the specific date. I know it was in July. I wasn't there. I have a witness that says that shows everywhere where I was at. That says
which one is the witness?
She's the witness to who I was with, and he's the witness that seen her damage my car.
Well, I don't care who you were with. I'm not your social secretary. I just want to know who saw her damage your car.
Okay, he saw her damage my car,
ma'am.
Rick.
Okay, Step up. Tell me your name.
My name is Rick Howard.
How do you know her, Rick?
I used to work with her a couple years ago.
And what were you doing up at 5:30 in the morning on this date in July that we don't remember?
Smoking a cigarette.
Where?
On her balcony.
What were you doing in her house?
She went out of town, so I was staying there, house sit, because she had problems with... She has problems with her neighbors, so I was staying there.
So you got up very early, you went out on the balcony to smoke a cigarette.
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you see?
I heard an alarm go off, so I went downstairs because I thought it was my car, because my car's been stolen before. When I ran downstairs and I turned the corner, I seen Tiffany standing behind the car, like with a blunt object in her hand.
With a what?
Blunt object.
And did you know Tiffany before?
I don't know her, but I know of her.
No. When you say you know of her, had you seen her before?
Yes.
No. Where had you seen her before?
At a high school.
How many years ago?
About 4 years ago.
And you hadn't seen her in 4 years?
No.
Get to you in a minute.
Okay.
What did you say to her?
I was like, "A." I just yelled out, "A."
And when you yelled out A, what did she do?
She left.
How did she leave?
She got in her car.
What kind of car?
A white car.
So what did you do?
I went back upstairs.
Well, didn't you go and look to see what happened to her car?
Nah, I figured that the window was broken because I heard the window break. So I went back upstairs.
What do you mean you figured that the window was broken? You mean you didn't go over to look at the car?
No.
You figured it wasn't your car, you didn't have any...
No, it wasn't that it wasn't my car. It was just that I heard the window break. So she had an object in her hand, so I figured that the window was broken. So I went back upstairs to get my phone, and then I came back downstairs.
When you got your phone, who did you call?
I called April.
Where was she?
Somewhere in the Bay Area.
And you told her what happened?
Mm-hmm.
Did you call the police?
Another lady who was standing across the street, I called the police.
Did the police arrive that day?
Yes, I did.
Did you speak to the police?
Yes, I did.
Did you give them a description of the person that you saw?
Yes.
Did you tell them who it was?
Yes.
You told them by name?
Yes.
Did you get the name from Miss Thomas, or did you get the name from knowing her yourself from high school?
Thomas told me her name from a picture, because she has a picture of her in her house.
So when you told her somebody just came and busted the window out of your car, and they had a white car, and she said to you it must have been Miss Johnson, is that right?
She didn't say it must have been Miss Johnson. Like, she looked familiar from the pictures that she has in her house, and that's how I recognized her, other than I knew her from high school.
What are you doing with a picture of her in your house?
I have a picture of her and her son at my house. We have like a lot of family gatherings, and she comes because her son is included in our family. And when we were tight, we used to take pictures, and I'd keep them in my house. And even though that they're not together, that's still his mother, so I would have the pictures.
Okay. Now, Miss Johnson, let's get to you.
Okay.
Nope, I didn't ask you a question yet. Don't start. You may be seated. Now, it is your claim that Miss Thomas busted a window in your car.
Yes.
When do you claim she did that?
And this was in June. I never seen him a day in my life.
I didn't ask you anything about that. I asked you about your car.
Okay, this is the real story. We was at a club. We went to a
Listen
club
to me.
in June.
I'm in charge here.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You didn't call the police?
No.
You didn't speak to her afterwards and say, you better fix my car?
No.
You mean you just got even?
No, but she's trying to say...
No. I asked you a question.
No.
I think you did.
And later today...
Who should pay for his window?
They weren't antagonizing the situation.
I'm asking you who should pay for the window.
I think they should pay for it.
Who's they?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. April Thomas says her cousin's ex-girlfriend, Tiffany Johnson, vandalized her Dodge Neon by breaking her window. Tiffany says April did the same thing to her car.
In what month do you claim she damaged your car?
June 25th.
What time on the 25th of June?
Like 12:30 to 1 o'clock.
In the morning?
No, at nighttime. Yeah, morning, yeah, it is morning.
Where was your car?
At a club.
So tell me what happened.
I was parking. My cousin pulled in first. I was parking my car, and as I was parking my car, Miss Thomas jumped in front of my car and told me I cannot park here. She is saving this park for my friend, and she's on the freeway to get there.
So you're moving into a spot, She blocks the spot and she says, I'm saving it.
Yes.
And you said?
You can't save a park. You can't stand and save a park. It's free parking. My car was, I was so close to hitting her for her just standing in front of my car. So I just parked my car and got out. And she started...
Just a second. So she's standing in the parking space and you said, well, you're going to get run over, but I'm parking here.
Yes.
So you parked there in the spot.
Yes.
Okay, and she ultimately moved out of the way.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
It was my friend's birthday. That's how I remember the date, because we were all going out. And as I got out of my car, she's talking about, you don't want it like this, or you already know about these hands. You don't want to see nobody in my family. We just started talking a lot, talking about, I don't want this, and I just walked away. So we walked down the street by the clubs. Then we walked to Old Sacramento, and I just had a funny...
Holy. You went to the club. What happened when you got to the club?
We didn't go in because it was about to close anyways.
And from there you went back to your car?
I went to Old Sacramento, walked to Old Sac.
I don't know where that is, nor do I really care. When did you go back to your car?
In like 20 minutes.
20 minutes after you parked your car and had this altercation with the plaintiff, you went back to your car. And what did you find when you went back to your car?
1,000 pieces of glass broke all over my driver's window. And it was so many people out there telling me, the girl that you just
Don't tell me what anybody else said. Driver's window.
Yes.
What window of your car was broken?
My back windshield.
Okay, so you found your window broken.
Yes.
Now, other than the fact that you had had this altercation with her about the parking space,
yes,
did anyone else who was here today witness her damaging the car?
Crystal.
Crystal. I'm going to take your testimony, Crystal. Step up. Crystal, how do you know Miss Johnson?
I don't know her.
Where do you work?
I stay at home with my son.
And what were you doing at 1 o'clock in the morning on June 25th?
I was going to the club too.
Who were you going with?
Some friends.
Tell me what you saw.
Okay, Tiffany had pulled up. April jumped in front of her, told her she couldn't park, and then Tiffany parked anyways. Got out of the car, started walking off. April started yelling at her. Tiffany walked off. One of April's friends had pulled up a couple minutes later, and they had got in the car, drove off, came back. Like a few minutes later, April had got out of the passenger side, threw something at Tiffany's car, and jumped in the car and took off.
And how come you stayed around the parking area that long?
Because I was sitting in the car across the street talking to some friends.
How did it come about that you met Miss Johnson and told her what happened to her car?
Well, we were still there when she had come walking back.
So you told her what you saw?
Yeah.
Did you call the police, Miss Johnson?
No.
How come?
It was late at night. I just knew it was her. That's why I didn't even call the police, because I didn't even think it would go this far with me and her. I know April for a long time.
Well, did you call her the next day?
No, I asked her cousin, my son's dad, told me that she was going around the family acting like she done something very well. And he was mad because all the glass that was in my car, my son cut his hand.
So you mean you didn't call the police?
No.
And you didn't speak to her afterwards and say, you better fix my car?
No.
I don't understand that. You mean you just got even?
No, but she's trying to say...
No. I asked you a question.
No.
I think you did.
Okay, I did.
That's my girl. That's it.
Yeah.
You didn't get mad.
No.
You got even.
Yeah.
Love it.
Like when it works.
Like it when it works, right?
Yep.
Very good. So how much did it cost you to fix your window?
Can I add that also she must have stuck something in my door lock because it doesn't turn anymore.
How much did it cost? Listen.
I'm listening.
How much did it cost to fix your window?
It was $344 for the window, and it came to $253 for the tint.
For the what?
The tint on the window is tinted black.
Why?
Because all my windows are tinted black to keep the sun out.
$344, is that right? It cost you to fix the window?
Yes.
How much did it cost you to fix your window?
$300, and I had to get a rental car because I have to wait till my window to come in.
It cost you just about the same amount of money.
Yes.
Right? Did you both feel good afterwards?
No.
Mama? Did you feel good?
I didn't do anything.
Oh,
sure you did.
Yes, you did.
Of course you did.
She is a devil in disguise.
Of course you did. Now, my only problem with both of you is, I mean, you're acting like children.
Yeah.
Which is, shh. You're acting like children. And the only problem that I have with both of you is, why do you visit your childish behavior on the court system? Why do we have to become involved in your childish behavior? You both did something wrong. It ended up costing you both money, right?
Yeah.
Goodbye. Case is dismissed.
Excuse me, you may step out.
I didn't think it would come this far with her breaking my window. I admitted that I went back and broke hers.
She thinks that I broke into her car when I didn't, so it's just plain out ignorance.
I guess she want to be like me, but she can't.
You can see that she's ignorant. She doesn't know the day from night, from 12 a.m. to 12 noon.
I'm cuter than her.
She is just really anal and acts like a true baby mama. We would call it ghetto.
Her attitude is ugly, just like her face.
She's a sloppy CH.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Terry versus Barnes. Step forward, please.
General contractor Stephen Terry is suing his neighbor, 24-year-old restaurant manager Roger Barnes, for throwing a rock through the front window of his house. Roger says Stephen's brother was antagonizing him.
Mr. Terry, Mr. Barnes is your neighbor. It's your claim that on a particular date, which you'll tell me in a moment, he came to your house, he was drunk, he took a rock, he threw it through your window, you want him to pay for the window. Mr. Barnes says it wasn't a rock that broke your window, it was his jacket that broke your window and its heavy buttons, so he's not paying for your window, right?
Right.
What date did he break your window?
It was St. Patrick's Day this year.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Are you Irish?
Nope.
But you celebrate with the Irish?
Yeah.
Were you celebrating on St. Patrick's Day?
Yes.
Were you a little drunk?
A little bit.
Okay, so your jacket broke the window?
Yeah.
No, not yet. Yes was good. Yes was good before. Yes, so you should stick to yes.
Yes.
Tell me how it came about that your jacket broke the window.
Well, actually, I was at my house with my brother here. He's a witness.
Just get to the window, will you please?
All right, well, we got an argument.
I'm interested in the jacket. How the jacket, which was on your body initially, left your body, according to you, caused the breaking of Mr. Terry's window.
Well, I was outside, and we were in a big argument. And
Who was in an argument?
His brother and this guy named Eric. And basically, I thought I was going to have to defend myself against these two guys, and I ripped it off and flung it to the side, and as I did, it broke their window.
Well, show me how high the window was, sir.
It's about, yeah, at the bottom of the window.
But when you say you flung your jacket, you indicated you flung the jacket to the ground.
Like this. Over that way.
Now, show me how you do that, sir. Show me how you do it up high enough to hit the window.
Yeah,
Don't hit Mr. Terry again.
Sorry. You could feel it. It's a pretty heavy jacket.
So it was the jacket that broke the window. Yeah. So it's not your fault.
Well, if they wouldn't have been antagonizing me outside, it would have never happened. I was trying to leave and go back to my house. You know, we were in a big argument.
Let me ask you this question. Was Mr. Terry there?
Mr. Terry was there, but he was in
he
the house.
antagonizing you?
No, Stephen wasn't.
And who has to pay for his window?
Well, I don't think I should.
Well, who should be? Bird should pay for his window?
No.
Maybe I should pay for his window.
No.
Maybe this camera person should pay for his window.
No.
What do you think? No? Who should pay for his window?
If they weren't antagonizing the situation...
I'm asking you who should pay for the window.
I think they should pay for it.
Who's they?
Stephen and Ryan.
But he wasn't responsible in any way, sir.
I know.
It's not his jacket. Did you get beat up that day?
Nope.
So maybe you were wrong about them trying to antagonize you. You think it's possible that the libation that you consumed on St. Patrick's Day impaired your judgment? Is that a possibility, Mr. Barnes?
Well, they just set me off.
Is that a possibility that the libation that you consumed on St. Patrick's Day impaired your judgment, sir?
Probably had a little bit to do with it, but not much.
All right. I'm not going to torture you much more, sir. This is my daily exercise. It's my breathing exercise for the day. Do you understand that? Do you think that the fact that you were drinking had more to do with the fact that the window got broken than Mr. Terry?
Well, I mean, if his brother wasn't outside...
Not his brother.
Okay.
He's not right. I'm not my brother's keeper. I'm talking about Mr. Terry.
Okay, no.
So that your drinking had more to do with the window than Mr. Terry's...
Than Stephen did, yeah.
So this is what I suggest you do, sir. How much was the window?
I have a bill for everything. I'm a contractor. I fixed it myself. So
good. How much was it?
$500.
What?
It's an old window. It broke both the panes, and they're old windows.
You're only suing for $325, sir, so don't tell me that you paid $500 to have the window fixed.
I didn't pay for it. That's how much I would charge to do it myself, but that's okay.
How much did you pay for it?
It's for the glass and the materials.
Yeah.
$100.
$100. And you are a contractor, so you bill for your time. Is that right? And how much do you get paid for an hour?
$55.
$55 an hour. How many hours did it take you?
7.
Suing for $325. That's very reasonable for a window. Now, this is what I'm going to tell you, Mr. Barnes. I want you to listen to me very carefully, because you're not clouded by libation now, are you? If you believe that it's somebody else's fault that your jacket that was on your back broke Mr. Terry's window, I suggest that after you pay Mr. Terry $325, you sue those people that you think are responsible. Is that fair?
Sounds fair to me.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $325. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Oh, I thought it was short and sweet.
It's totally unfair. They didn't hear my side of the story at all.
I gave him plenty of opportunity to take care of it himself, and he failed to do so.
I screamed at him, "Get out of my house."
Basically, I was trying to leave the house.
Things started getting out of control.
I ripped my jacket off, flung it to the side, broke their window. It was cheap, old.
I was out on the porch. He was drinking several beers.
I just lost it.
Words being slurred in such a manner, and stumbling and inexplicable violence.
They made some smart remarks about my dead father, which set me off in the first place.
He has a tendency to get a little bit violent when he drinks.
I just think he was pretty much didn't know what he was doing. Had that to the point of blacking out.
Booze and that stuff really doesn't mix.
Nurse Cynthia Zane is suing her ex-boyfriend, handyman George Flores, for the money she paid him to work on her house. George says Cynthia never let him finish the job. He is countersuing for his out-of-pocket expenses.
Yeah, this is case number 274 on the calendar in the matter of Zane versus Flores. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Miss Zane, according to what I read, you met the defendant in May of 2004. Where did you meet him?
I met him at a neighborhood bar.
Remember what date in May?
It was the first Friday in May. I think it was the 6th.
According to you, you and the defendant had a romantic relationship.
Correct.
And there came a time when he needed some money, 2 or 3 separate occasions. You loaned him the money, and the repayment was supposed to be work done in your home. Correct. By the defendant. You paid him the money.
Correct.
He never did the work. Or he started the work but never completed it. And some he never did.
Well, he didn't do very much.
And so you want the money back.
Correct.
Mr. Flores says that there was never a romantic relationship that existed between the two of you, that you hired him to do work in your home, he performed the work, you never paid him, and he's got a counterclaim for that work, and both of you have claims against each other for harassment. Each of you say the other is harassing. So, what was the first loan, how much, and how did you give him the money?
I gave the money to him in cash.
For what?
It was for an automobile.
When was that?
That was June 6th, 2004.
And how much was it?
It was for $750.
So you gave him $750 then, and how was he supposed to pay you back that money?
He was supposed to perform work on my house.
What work, specifically, for the $750?
Okay, he was supposed to finish the trim around a sunroom, install a bathroom vanity and sink, repair to bathroom tile, cleaning, caulking, and treating mold and mildew.
I see you're looking at something. What is it that you're looking at?
I'm looking at the receipts he signed.
Can I see them, please? Did he do any of this work?
The only thing that he did, he mowed the lawn one time. He cut down a tree in the front yard. He power washed the front of the house.
And when did he perform this work?
Probably June 5th, maybe the 4th. First week in June.
Look, I asked you when the first money that you gave him was. You said it was June 6, 2004. You gave him $750 for a car.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, $750. Here's the receipt, and I have it dated 6/21/04.
Mm-hmm.
And he was supposed to finish trim around the sunroom, install a bathroom vanity, and he signed this thing, and you signed it, and it says paid in advance. But now you say that he did this work on June 4th. So he did the work.
He did part of the work.
Okay, so he did part of the work.
Right.
Good. Now, when was the next time you gave him money?
The next time I gave him money would have been a week later, maybe 10 days later.
Now, when did you start to have a romantic relationship with Mr. Flores?
Probably the second week of May.
Well, tell me about the nature of your romantic relationship.
The nature of our romantic relationship was he told me he was unmarried.
Did you go out for dinner?
We sat at Chili's one day, and he told me he was divorced in April 2004.
Did you ever take her to Chili's, sir?
Chili's?
Chili's restaurant.
Never.
Never.
Never did. Not a Chili's restaurant. Never
Did you ever take it to any restaurants, Mr. Flores?
No.
Oh, it's not it. Listen to me, Mr. Flores. I know everything.
No, ma'am. I only went to one, to Jackie D's. That was on the 19th of August. That's the last time we went out together, and...
Mr. Flores, you're not following what I'm saying, sir.
Okay.
Maybe we're having a communications problem.
Okay.
Did you ever go out to eat with the plaintiff?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Mr. Flores, you don't think that you're smarter than I am, do you?
No, ma'am.
Shh. You're not. So that when I ask you a question, you would do well to answer the question directly, truthfully the first time, so that you and I don't have to do a dance around the truth. Do I make myself clear?
Correct.
How many times were you and the plaintiff out for dinner?
Like
Look up.
2 or 3 times.
Okay. And of the 2 or 3 times, according to you, the one place that you never went was Chili's.
Exactly.
Where did you go when you went out for dinner?
Jackie D's.
Do you remember the days that you went to Jackie D's?
Exactly. 8/19.
That was the last time, sir.
That was
before
the last
that.
time. And before that, I went out with her to a another place. I can't recall the name of it.
And do you remember about what time you got home?
Yeah, I believe I got home like around like 12:30 or 1 o'clock.
Now, at the time, Mr. Flores, you were living with whom?
My wife.
Where did you tell your wife you were on those evenings, Mr. Flores?
I told her I was out in a... I told her I was out in business.
You told your wife you were out on business?
Yes, with the lady I was working on.
No, Mr. Listen to me, sir.
Okay.
Your wife is not an idiot, is she?
No, believe me, she's not.
Right. So when you were out until 12:30 or 1 o'clock in the morning, you wouldn't have told your wife that you were out with a lady discussing cleaning the mold out of her bathroom, right? So you told your wife that you were out on business, correct?
Yes.
And that was a lie. Is not an answer, Mr. Flores.
No, it wasn't a lie. She had called me the same day to meet her in Jackie D's so we could discuss about the payment of pay me for the job I did at her house.
How long did that take, Mr. Flores?
That took us at least an hour or two. We had a couple of drinks. We sat down, and next thing you know, it was like around 12:30, 1 o'clock. We got into an argument. She left me there. I had to call my brother to pick me up, and that was it.
Well, just a second. Why was that? How did you get there?
She picked me up.
Picked you up from where?
She picked me up from the well, the wishing well.
What's the
That's
wishing
the
well?
neighborhood bar where I met her in the beginning.
So she picked you up at one bar and you went someplace else
Yes.
to discuss it?
Yes, ma'am.
Why didn't you discuss the payment at the wishing well, sir?
Because she didn't want to stay there.
Miss
And
Flores.
that was it.
Is that you?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
understand that he's full of baloney, don't you? Huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. I just wanted to make sure that we understand each other.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So it's rather interesting. Social Security Administration's really going to be interested in the fact that somebody who suffers for 10 years from manic depression is able to do heavy manual labor in somebody's house for $2,500 in cash.
And later today,
Where were you working?
I wasn't working at that very present time.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Cynthia Zane says ex-boyfriend George Flores owes for the return of money she paid him to work on her home. Cynthia says George lied about being divorced.
Now, so you advanced him in total $3,000.
Yes.
And he only performed part of the work.
Right.
And after the romance was over,
After he
recording-
did the first... Oh, no. This went on until August 22nd. August 22nd was the last time I seen George.
Well, tell me about August 22nd.
August 22nd, we went to Jackie D's, and that's when we got in the argument because I confronted him. He knew that I was on the case about him being married. He kept denying it over and over, and I just didn't buy it. And that was that. I just didn't want anything to do with him after that.
Well, how did you find out he was married?
I got a tip from somebody, And then I went to the records in Pasco County, and I got his address, and it says George W. Flores and Letitia Flores, and it gave the address. So that's how I knew how to serve him the papers.
Okay. Now, tell me about the harassment.
The harassment?
Yeah.
Basically, the harassment didn't start. I have call logs. I shared a phone with him, with Sprint. He had, you know, shared minutes. And I gave him my phone.
You gave him a phone?
Right.
Is that right, sir?
Yes, it is.
Why would she give you a phone?
To keep in contact with her, to finish up on a job.
This many times a day highlighted.
That's right, because I had no phone for her to get in contact with me whatsoever.
You were living home with your wife.
Yes, I was.
Why couldn't she call you at home if this was a business proposition?
I do not have a home phone. That's the reason why she
has a home phone.
Just a second. Your wife doesn't have a home phone?
No, we have a cell phone.
Well, if she had to get in touch with you, and if the only phone that you had was a cell phone, why didn't she call your wife and say, listen, I'm a client of your husband's?
Because of the fact is, she kept all the time shutting off the phone that she had bought, and the one that my wife had was always only for emergency purposes. And that's the reason she got the phone for me, because I told her I couldn't call her from my wife's phone.
What kind of work do you do?
Me, I'm on SSI, ma'am.
What's the nature of your disability, Mr. Flores?
Mental depression.
How long have you been on SSI?
10 years.
You have children, Mr. Flores?
Yes, I do.
How old are they?
My oldest is 10 years old.
Yes.
And the other one's 7, and the other one is 5.
So you're not that depressed?
No.
Huh?
I guess not.
I guess not.
Yeah.
And I'm real interested in your counterclaim, because your counterclaim is for $3,000. Because according to you, Mr. Flores, you had a verbal contract with the plaintiff for $2,500 to do labor on her home.
Exactly.
So you're not too depressed to do labor, because you say you completed the work. Isn't that right?
Right.
So it's rather interesting. Social Security Administration is really going to be interested in the fact that somebody who suffers for 10 years from manic depression is able to do heavy manual labor in somebody's house for $2,500 in cash.
Well, it was basically...
Well, what?
Well, basically, when she hired me, it was only to clean up the house.
Is this the first time in 10 years, Mr. Flores, that you performed manual labor?
Yes, ma'am.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're telling me in 10 years, sir, aside from making 2 or 3 children, the only work that you've done was for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500 for which you were not paid. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, ma'am.
And it was just your bad luck that that job ended you up in court before me?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're going to get to tell that story all over again, Mr. Flores, to the Social Security Administration, because I'm going to see to it that they get the tape. Do we understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
She says she doesn't have your clothing. How do I know that she didn't take it with you?
She had her boyfriend come to my house and say, DYS appreciates your donation. That's the local juvenile facility.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Cynthia Zane says ex-boyfriend George Flores owes for the return of money she paid him to work on her home. Cynthia says George lied about being divorced.
Okay, I just want to tell you this. It's very hard for me to put a dollar figure on the work that he did. Gave him $3,000. Let's say he power washed the front, he power washed the driveway, he cut down a tree in the front of the house. So you figure, even if he was a very high-power person, he would be entitled to $1,500. You deduct that from what you paid him, which means that he owes you $1,500 because you gave him the money. I believe that you gave him the money, and I believe that he did not perform the work satisfactorily. And I do not believe that he performed the work and you didn't give him any money, which is what he says, because he's a scam artist. And he's been scamming people of the United States of America for 10 years.
He has. I know that.
Oh, you know that?
I
know that because in his spare time he goes to Mickey D's or Dickie D's or wherever he goes to drink. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500 on a claim. His counterclaim is dismissed. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
George is a scammer. I got caught up in it. 3 months later, I finally figured him out.
She needed help fixing up her house and stuff. At the time, I said, sure, why not?
He was married. He told me he was not married.
We may end up getting divorced over this, yes.
Lying all around. He's a chronic, compulsive liar.
Basically, one thing led to another. And this is it. I'm here.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Baker versus Williams. Step forward, please.
23-year-old cocktail waitress April Baker is suing her ex-boyfriend's sister, 26-year-old medical secretary Angela Williams, for the return of her belongings. Angela says April stole her car.
Ms. Baker, you used to live in the apartment or the home of the defendant, who is the sister of your former boyfriend. Is that
Yes,
right?
Your Honor.
And this is the former boyfriend?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you claim that you were forced to move out because there was some sort of an altercation or an argument. And when you moved out, the defendant kept a lot of your property. You want to be compensated to the tune of $2,000 for that property. When did you move in with them?
It was May.
Why did you move in with them?
I was seeing her brother, so I decided that when I came back from vacation, I would move back in to the same area with them.
Where were you working?
I wasn't working at that very present time.
Immediately prior to that very present time, when was your last employment?
Before I moved to Worcester.
Give me a month
Okay,
and
that
a
would
year.
have been in February of 2004.
And what kind of work were you doing in February of 2000?
I was hostessing in a Greek restaurant in Tennessee.
When you moved from Tennessee to where?
To Worcester.
And how did you get there?
I took a bus.
How many suitcases did you have?
Your Honor, they weren't suitcases. They were very big Tupperware containers with lids.
And what was in the 2 Tupperware containers?
One of the containers contained all of my shoes and boots, and the other one contained all of my clothing belongings.
And when you left their house, what did you take with you?
Absolutely nothing, except for what I had on my person.
Do you have any of her property?
No, ma'am.
Where is it?
As far as I know, she took it with her when she stole my vehicle.
What month was that?
That was in July.
What do you mean she stole your vehicle?
She did take it, said that she'd be back, and never came back.
She didn't come back?
No, ma'am.
How long did she remain away?
She was gone that whole night, the whole next day. I finally got a phone call telling me that I could find my keys at her new boyfriend's house, and my car was at her job. So I had to find a ride to get my keys and my vehicle.
That sound familiar to you?
Vaguely, that is...
Not vaguely. Does that sound familiar to you?
That is pretty much the case, but not all the way, no. But yes.
So if you left, say, July 1st or 2nd, in her car, and you didn't come back, and you went to a new boyfriend's house, you're telling me that you just left with the clothes on your back and you didn't take anything with you?
Absolutely, Your Honor. I didn't leave to a new boyfriend's house. I left in the middle of the night. It was midnight Thursday, July the 2nd.
Where did you go?
I went to a friend's house to have a couple of drinks. I got intoxicated and did not drive back to her house because I'm not going to drive her car intoxicated. I did have her car dropped to my work so that she could pick it up. And the keys were where she said they were, at that same person's house. But it was not, I did not take any of my belongings with me. I did not plan on being gone or not coming back. I did not steal her car.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Step up. What's your name?
Brian. Brian Williams.
Mr. Williams, do you have any of Miss Baker's property?
No, I do not.
Look at me. Did you throw it away?
No, I did not.
Do you know of anyone who threw it away?
No, I do not.
Well, I think you probably do. I think you probably either tossed her stuff or got rid of some of her stuff because you were annoyed with her. But you have to have some proof of that. She says she doesn't have your clothing. How do I know that she didn't take it with you?
She had her boyfriend come to my house and say, DYS appreciates your donation. That's the local juvenile facility.
Really? Did you say that to her?
No, ma'am.
Did you say
her
anything?
Her boyfriend said that to me.
Did you say it to anyone?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay. Miss Williams, I have a feeling that you probably kept some of her stuff, and maybe you donated because you were really annoyed with her. That I can understand.
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Well, somebody did. Let me see what you have there. Okay. Okay. $361. the legitimate bills that I have that you can establish here. Now, I don't know whether and how much they didn't return, but I know that you didn't return some stuff because I know you were annoyed. That's just common sense, that if she left there, you found some of her stuff there, and I believe that you did return some of her stuff.
Everything was gone when she stole my car, Your Honor. I don't
What?
owe her anything.
No, you're full of baloney. Don't believe you. I also don't believe that she had $2,000 worth of clothes because she didn't have a job.
Your Honor.
Maybe $360 worth of stuff. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $360. That's all.
What is that excuse you missed about?
She's wearing my clothes and my shoes right now.
They're lies just like everything else.
They stole my stuff.
She took them when she stole my vehicle.
I just didn't want to be around them anymore.
Probably still has it.
There was a little girl who began competing in beauty pageants at a very young age. Her mother, Patsy Ramsey, was herself a former beauty queen and always wanted her daughter to be in the spotlight. On the night of December 25th, 1996, the Ramsey family celebrated Christmas. The next morning, when Patsy looked into her daughter's room, JonBenet was missing. A note was found on her bed demanding ransom, $118,000, or the child will be killed. But just hours later, JonBenet's body was discovered in the basement of their own home, wrapped in a blanket, strangled, and with a head injury. From the start, the police investigation was flawed. The house wasn't properly secured, and many people had already entered the home before the body was found. The ransom note was suspicious. It was unusually long, 3 pages, and had a tone that felt theatrical and oddly familiar. Suspicion first fell on JonBenet's parents and her brother, Burke. Some believed Patsy may have acted in a moment of rage, and the family tried to cover it up. Others speculated a houseworker or someone who had access to the home. Another theory suggested a stranger broke in and committed the crime. In 2008, DNA testing cleared the family, but questions still remain. The DNA found on the body belonged to an unknown male, and to this day, there has been no match. The ransom note had been written using paper from inside the house. This case remains one of America's most famous unsolved mysteries. In 2022, authorities made another attempt to solve the case using advanced DNA technology, but no definitive breakthrough has been made. To this day, the internet remains flooded with theories. Was it a family cover-up or a crime from the outside? JonBenet has now become a symbol of innocence, fame, and a tragedy that was never brought to justice. JonBenet's story